Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Simple Racing Broadcast and welcome back to the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. This is round 3 and tonight we hit Oran Park. It's a famous little circuit, this one. Hasn't existed in the real world for a number of years, but it is, of course, immortalised here on iRacing for us to enjoy with some classic V8 supercar racing action. Tonight, 3 races, a couple of sprints. I guess you can call them sprints at 60k's a piece, with a middle race that is just a little bit longer, and we'll have plenty of that to talk about here this evening. My name's Jared Cole. With me in the booth tonight, Isaac Fogarty rejoins the broadcast team again. Isaac, good to have you along for round 3 of LARC.
Yeah, good evening, Jared. Good evening, everybody at home. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. As you said, a circuit we don't get to see in real life anymore, but immortalised here in iRacing for us to enjoy for the rest of time, hopefully. In this platform. But look, looking forward to this tonight. I've been following along the first 2 rounds. Very, very exciting action, that is for sure. And Aaron Gilbert, can anyone knock him off? He's 4 wins from 5 races so far. The only person to beat him so far is Mark Poynton, who I don't see on the list tonight. So we might actually be missing the one guy that has been able to upset him so far. Although full reverse grid for race number 2, and Oran Park typically not the easiest place to pass. So we could see Aaron Gilbert struggle in race 2 with that entire field that he will have to pass, provided he wins race 1, of course.
Yeah, look, absolutely spot on, and Mark Poynton definitely not racing tonight. It's worth noting that Poynton had a fair bit of a struggle in the full reverse grid all the way back in round 1. The second race there was a full reverse grid. Poynton actually started in 31st and only progressed as far as 28th. I can't remember exactly what happened there, but he really struggled, where Aaron Gilbert has just been an absolute machine right throughout. The interesting thing, as always, the fuel tank limit will potentially come into play. We're expecting to see a pit stop in race number 2, so that will play into the strategy, but we have it on pretty good authority that it might be possible to save enough fuel to make it home without a stop. We'll have to wait and see if that's how it actually plays out. Before we do get into the qualifying action, it's just getting underway. Drivers heading out on their out laps in the background. This is how the championship is stacking up after just the first 2 rounds. Aaron Gilbert, as we said, out in front, 597 points, a healthy lead over Miguel Costa-Texeira from Proline Esports. Behind him, Brett Loxton, Henry King, also Team Jinx Shifters entries, really dominating the top of the leaderboard at the moment. Phil Manuel, LMB Sim Racing, in 5th, is not too far behind though, and with him a bevy of other drivers: Matthew Day, Mark Poynton, Bray Loveridge, and then Daniel Stevens and Dean Alessi rounding out your top 10. The rest of the pack very, very close, but it is starting to turn into a pretty heated battle for the top 4. If we're feeling a little bit generous, we might say top 5. I think Phil Manuel needs a few more good results under his belt though to really get in amongst it. Plenty still left to play for. This is only round 3. We're going to be going with this series right through until just about the end of the year, with racing every 4 weeks or so. So hold on to your hats, folks. It's time for us to get underway. Let's get on down and check out some of the qualifying action that's going on track. The drivers getting out there and starting to turn some times, and this is going to be a very, very congested qualifying session, I suspect, Isaac. There's not a lot of track space here, and open qualifying, well, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Look, there's a lot of cars out there this evening. Just looking at our numbers, we haven't actually got a physical number yet, because all the times cars haven't set a time, but once they do, there's at least, I reckon there's roughly 30 cars out there this evening.
I counted 26 earlier.
26, well, it was somewhere between 20 and 30, and that is still a lot of cars for a circuit like Oran Park. For a place like Oran Park, that is a huge number of cars in a close proximity. So track space tonight will be crucial, especially in qualifying. You look here, Aaron Gilbert, the man that has been untouchable almost so far throughout this championship campaign. He has got off to the best start you could possibly ask for in the old Ford Falcon. And at the moment, he is on a good time. He's already on provisional pole with the first number of times that are being laid down. He's not improving this time at all, so I don't know what the tyre life is like around here and how good it is for how many laps in qualifying, but at the moment, just not quite improving. So I believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a little while since I've done a qualifying session here Joe Cole, but purple, the dark purple colour will be for a overall best, so a session best out of anybody. The blue is a personal best, and the red is not improving at all. So that is what you have to keep an eye on in our little boxes down the bottom of screen here to give you an indication of just who is improving out there.
Yeah, pretty well spot on there, and we see some good times coming through from Brett Loxton. It surprises me so much that Oran Park actually runs 5 sectors of timing. It's absolutely nuts to me, considering
it's not big enough.
It's not that big, but yet five timing sectors, so you do get a fair bit of variability. Brett Loxton though goes to the top of the tower for now, jumping his teammate by just 8 thousandths of a second, and indeed the first 8 drivers all within a second of each other at the moment. We've barely gotten started here. It's only going to get faster from here. You will see probably a tyre change or two as drivers try to just keep on some really fresh tyres and get the very, very best out of them, but it's not a lot of time here. It's a reasonably short lap. 15 minutes is enough time to get in quite a few and to really burn through some tyres. But yeah, we will see. I suspect a few more drivers dipping within a second of that top time. There's already quite a few just knocking on the door of it. But have a look at how competitive the front row is looking at the moment. Some of the drivers that are here to challenge the Team Jinx Shifters domination: Brody McConkey with Proline Esports, and of course Clean City. Now this was voted, not officially of course, but based on the chat from last round. Everyone really admiring the livery on this thing, and I can't argue with it. Honestly, it's really well put together. It does stand out, and I imagine we're going to see plenty of Brody up front tonight. Teammate Ryan Borg, rather not Brian Borg, which is not going to get confusing for us at all, but Ryan Borg from Proline Esports out there this evening as well, and Miguel Costa Texera not too far up the road either. So the Proline Esports guys putting in some good times. They're all pretty well in that top 6. The lone imposter, I suppose, or the other driver in amongst it all, Dan Stevens from Middle Finger Racing. Now, we did have a little bit of a chat to one of the league admins just ahead of tonight's racing. Of course, Henry King out there in 11th at the moment, and he was telling us about the last time he came racing at Oran Park. Ended up in a full race-length battle with Dan Stevens. I'm kind of hoping we see a bit more of that tonight, honestly. Door-to-door action for, 25 to 30 laps would be something pretty special.
And Oran Park's built for it. This is a place that has become synonymous with people that grew up in the early 2000s with supercars, like myself, like you, Jared Cole, that, we just come to expect that sort of racing from a place like this. And absolutely, that is what we're going to be hoping for this evening to continue. So, Dan Stevens, he is set. Well, Henry King set the bar high for him, hasn't he, to provide us with some great racing this evening. A massive black flag, a meatball flag for Ryan Borg. Not sure what the cause of that is. The car looks okay from this side, but it may not be from the other side. So, he's got that car back to pit lane. We'll roll in the box and get that repaired, no doubt. But Dan Stevens sitting 4th at the moment. Very, very competitive in qualifying. Only 8 thousandths of a second between Loxton and Gilbert on the front row, and then about 2/10 of a second back to Brody McConkey in position number 3. So he's on an outlap with a black flag next to his name, which is interesting. I don't know how you get a black flag in qualifying, but
speeding in pits, you'll have to, I imagine.
I have to try and get rid of that at some point. Yeah, well, we have to get rid of it. Otherwise, I get 12. There's meatballs left, right, and centre. Miguel Costa Texera has got himself a meatball as well. And there's a massive meatball. It looks like a major incident for Matthew Mellor. That is the last place when he parked, just before the bridge.
And then just after the bridge,
Scott Watts.
Also from Bram.
So it's all happening. What is going on out here, folks? Oran Park providing some interesting action early on with drivers with a range of issues. Scott Watts is trying to get moving to get off the circuit, because that is a dangerous spot. Yeah, that's a dangerous spot to be stopped in. Possibly waiting to receive permission to get a tow, as you do have to ask race control to tow, I believe, still in qualifying as well. So Costa Texera is rolling that car back to the pits, given the fact that he's got to slow down. And we now look at Richard Mayer he's in position 10. There we go, found him on the leaderboard eventually, and he's about a second away from pole position at the moment. So I think as we build into this session, the circuit starts to rubber up a bit. We will start to see the times become closer and a little bit more competitive. But for now, they are a little bit spread out across the 21 cars that have set a time so far.
And this is one of the things that I'm expecting we're going to see a fair bit of tonight. It's something that we spoke about over the first couple of rounds. I guess the fragile nature of these earlier model supercars. As Brett Loxton goes for a big slide, gets it pulled up just before the tyres.
Oh, well done.
So he'll avoid the meatball this time, but it really doesn't take much of a hit to cause enough damage to bring yourself a meatball. They don't bang doors anywhere near as well as the Gen 3s do. The suspension in particular really does snap pretty easily. Now, that's a really interesting thing, of course, when you come somewhere like Oran Park, because the pit entry here is absolutely treacherous. It's notorious for taking cars out, and I reckon we are going to see more than a few drivers hitting the wall trying to get into the pit bay and get slowed down. I think we'll probably see a few bridge strikes here and there, and we're already seeing the chat lighting up with prediction of some pretty hectic racing out there. G'day folks, great to have you all along for another fantastic night of racing here with the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. And I don't know if we're allowed to officially announce this, but I'm going to go ahead and just put it out there anyway. Great news, Jinx Shifters coming on board to sponsor the series as well, so look out for the Jinx Shifters logo appearing from probably next round. I suspect we'll have it up on screen, but great to see some sponsorship coming on board for what has been, after just 2 rounds, probably some of the best racing that I've seen in a while. It's always just absolute action on these tracks.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to see them jump on board and get behind what is a wonderful series. Little Birdie also told me, Jared Cole, they'll be sponsoring a round later on in the season. So not only have they come on board as a naming rights sponsor, but massive moment for Matthew Deere.
This is what I love about these cars, mate. They
fantastic.
Slide. They slide.
They do. They are. You get them sideways, and look, driving one of these compared to driving a Gen 3 supercar is a very, very different experience, and you can get these cars very sideways. You can get any supercar sideways, but you can have a bit of fun with these as well. It's easy to get it sideways, but it's a little bit easier, I think, than a Gen 3 to control the slide, as we just saw Deere do there. This is Matt Mellor. He's coming across the line. He's in 17th at the moment, not improving on this occasion. Potentially could have been an outlap for him, but now we'll push on and try and we've got just under or just about 4 minutes to go in this session. Not a lot of time remaining. Gilbert in the lane, Ryan Borg up in third, also in the lane. Gilbert's just coming back out now. So anyone that's in the pits will start to probably move towards pit exit so that they can get another time in as Brody McConkey jumps back up into third. So Ryan Borg displaced him, and he's once again returned serve, and they're slowly building their way to those front two, who are still a 10th and a half clear of the rest of the field. They are in their own little battle at the moment tonight, Loxton and Gilbert, but there's still plenty to play out. Watching this lap from Mellor, looking at his time, looks pretty strong so far. This could move him up a place or two the way he's driving. It does say that he's all in the red though. He looks strong, but he's backed out of it towards the end of this lap here, so maybe not coming together the way he would want.
There's an idea of just how fast these times actually are, because there's nothing I can really fault with Mellor's lap. It's just not quick enough, it just gives you an idea of, I suppose, the level of experience that some of these top drivers have with these cars in particular. And keep in mind that these things were braced as the primary V8 supercar for a long time before the Gen 3s became available on the iRacing service. So there's some guys here that have been racing these things at the very top levels of competition for years and years. And Brody McConkey, I think he might have collected the.
Look at the left-hand side front axle.
The way in.
Yeah.
Let's see if we
that
can
is highly likely.
Get a look at this.
That left-hand front axle is not looking happy.
Yeah, this will give us a really good view of it. Just tries to get on brakes, and this is, clips that pit entry, and it's going to happen all night, folks. We're going to see plenty of that, I reckon. The question will be, do we get it happen at a time when everyone's trying to come in? I'm actually terrified of what might happen if we get a safety car tonight and we see, particularly in race 2, when there's a pit stop on the line, if we see half the field go to dive in and the first person in that line manages to wedge themselves sideways on that pit entry, it is going to be absolute chaos. We're going to have half the field in a nose-to-tail incident, and I, for one, can't wait for it. It's going to make for great viewing, folks, so make sure you are here for all 3 races this evening. We've got a minute and a half or so left in qualifying before we will know just how this grid is going to stack up, but it does at this stage look like an all-Team Jinx front row, and Proline Esports taking the second row right behind them. So it'll be, oh look, it'll certainly be a very, very interesting opening race. And then, of course, the reverse grid for these guys that are putting in some pretty significantly quick times. I mean, you're not talking seconds between them, but the front 2 are a couple of tenths quicker, and then the next 3 are a couple of tenths quicker again than the rest of the field. And it is going to mean that they're going to have a lot of extra pace in that reverse full grid in race 2. They're going to be coming through from the back of the field, you would imagine. Oran Park, tough place to get a pass done. I wonder how aggressive they're planning on being.
Yeah, and that's the question, isn't it? How hard do you go? Try to get around this circuit? Do you force it? We know there's going to be a pit stop at some point in that second race, unless you can save a lot of fuel, which will be hard to do at a circuit like Oran Park. So do you go for the undercut early, especially if you're someone like Loxton and Gilbert that will probably be at the back of the field in that reverse grid race, and that way you give yourself some fresh track, some clean air, to get the road all to yourself and just try and make something happen. The other risk with that is that if you spend too long in the pit lane, you'll go a lap down. It's not a very long lap around here, only 1 minute and 4 seconds, so you don't want to be caught in the pit lane with a 40-second stop-go for overspeeding, so you have to be careful on the entry as well. Time ticks over, and that will do it for qualifying. So the results are finalised, and the grid will shortly be set for race number 1.
And this is how we're lining up. Team Jinx shifters take the front row. Brett Loxton and Aaron Gilbert setting the fastest times ahead of Brody McConkey and Ryan Borg. And then Daniel Stevens and Miguel Costa-Texera behind them. Bray Loveridge and Matthew Day ahead of Gavin Cox and Matthew Deere, rounding out the top 10. As we move back through the field, Richard Mayer and Henry King on row 6 just outside of it. Colin Bruds and Simon Caplet line up in 13th and 14th with Danny Sneddon and Wayne Taylor behind them. Craig Bell and Matthew Meller on row 9 with Jason Merrifield and James Clark rounding out the top 20. Just a few more drivers behind them. Scott Watts and Michael Hammond ahead of Phil Manuel, who didn't end up setting a time there either. So Hammond and Phil Manuel will both start from the back of the grid. Nathan Allen and Isaac Edwards both in race control this evening. And look, I don't know. I'm not sure whether we should expect to see them out on track tonight. There's a lot of runoff here at Oran Park, but there's also a lot of really, really close walls, and definitely a history of these cars copping quite a bit of damage. We've already seen, by my count, about 8 meatballs, and we still have to get racing yet. So I suspect we're in for a fun time this evening.
I think that is an understatement. There will be a safety car at some stage this evening. I'm calling that now. I do not see a world in which we don't see a safety car in at least one of these 3 races, potentially a safety car a race. What the safety car will do is really help people, especially if it's later in race number 2 and drivers decide to stay out longer to push that fuel as long as they can. A safety car will help them save fuel to try and get to the end of the race. So that could be something to consider, and a factor that could contribute to how that race 2 result plays out. For race 1 and race 3, we're not going to have to worry about a pit stop, so a safety car is only just going to neutralise everything and bring everyone closer together. Hard to get a pass done around here, but if you're aggressive and you bide your time well, you certainly could get it done down into turn 1 and 2 is really your best opportunity to get an overtake done, I think.
Now, the interesting thing is we're not seeing a standing start tonight. And I'm trying to remember... This is the thing that gets me every time, Isaac, is that because we've got 4 or 5 weeks between, I'm sitting here thinking, hang on, did we went standing starts last time around? I'm sure of it. And sure enough, we absolutely did. But I think, look, a rolling start at Oran Park probably isn't an awful idea when you think about the run into turn 2. It's it's going to be hazardous enough, I think, without us worrying too much about how we actually get these cars up and running tonight. Mate, I don't know about you, but I'm not entirely sure what to expect here this evening.
Yeah, I think just doing a rolling start will give everybody a little bit of an opportunity to just take a breather, especially at the start of this one. No one's going to be stressed about launching the car and stalling it, which again is very easy to do in a Gen 3 supercar. So this just gives everybody a chance to be moving already. There's a lot of controversy about rolling starts in supercars. There was massive conjecture about it in, I believe it was 2012 at the Gold Coast 600, when all the international drivers kept crashing and there was push for a rolling start there, and they chose in the end to stick with standing starts. But I think at Oran Park, where everything's in close quarters, the grid slots aren't actually that far away from each other. So if someone does stall, you're more likely to go at the back of somebody and have a bit of an accident. We certainly don't want that. This will just give everybody, as we said, a chance to neutralize and take a breath and hopefully give us a bit more of a clean start, especially on the run towards turn 1 and 2. But we're underway now for the roll towards the start-finish line, and it will be Loxton and Gilbert that are going to lead us to the green flag.
And worth noting that there was a race control deemed penalty for Scott Watts, who will be starting from the pit lane as a result. So you'll see him come charging out in just a moment. But we are rolling down towards the line. We are green and we are underway for race number 1 here, Oran Park, round 3 of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. And we are already 3 wide on the way into turn 1. Everyone trying to get this sorted out before we do make it to the very, very low speed comparatively turn 2. It looks like we're going to get through cleanly though, and that is, I reckon, all down to that rolling start. We're starting to settle in here. 24 laps here tonight in this first race, and already we're seeing a few moves throughout the field. Miguel Costa-Texeira is up 2 spots. Aaron Gilbert up 1 to the front. Ryan Borg's gone past both Brody McConkey and, of course, Brett Loxton, who finds himself down 4 spots, not getting the start that he wanted, and really starting to get swamped already, but plenty of laps left to go.
It looks like Loxton almost got caught out by the green flag there. He didn't go when everybody else did. He got absolutely swallowed up by the pack behind. They were 4 wide not long after we got given the green flag. There's a little bit of jostling going on here further down in the pack. This is Simon Caplet, Hammond, who started from the back of the field. Wayne Taylor, and this car's off in the wall.
That's
making
Caplet
contact
and
together. That's
straight into it.
Caplet and Hammond straight into it. We are only on lap 1, folks, and they are already getting well into it. So they've had to sort that out. They find themselves at the back of the field. Scott Watts, from just trying to look where he might be on circuit, he's still in the pit lane. So Scott Watts is actually yet to leave the pits and is actually going a lap down. So as that penalty is going to really sting for him, because he's going to be a whole lap behind the field by the time he comes back out. Hammond's Caplet at the back of the field at the moment. It's Gilbert out in front with about a half a second lead just over to Ryan Borg, and this is a battle between Dave Beer and Gavin Cox for the back end of the top 10. So they are jostling for position as well here, and they were side by side through the hairpin. Got it sorted out in favour of Matthew Day, so he's come out on top as the lead Matthew in this field at the moment. But Matthew Beer will want to change that before we get to the end of this race. Miguel Costa-Texeira up a couple of spots, as he said, off the start of this one. He was one of those drivers just caught Gavin Brett Loxton out. And again, I don't think he was awake to the fact the green flag was going and they were all just allowed to go. Maybe thought it was a safety car restart and thought we can't go until everybody, till the leader goes. But again, it's a green flag. It's a normal iRacing rolling race start. I would think once the green flag drops, you are free to just absolutely send it. He's going to send it up the inside. A little bit of an inside front lock there for Loxton. Pulls the car up though, gets it stopped. Miguel Costa-Texeira left him room. They are still going to be side by side on the run down towards 4. And Miguel has the inside line this time around and will hold position because it stays the inside as they run up towards the bridge. So this is a nice little battle, and Dan Stevens wants to get a part of this as well. He's going to look up the inside of Brett Loxton, but has to slot in behind. Wasn't far enough up to make anything happen. This is a nice little battle, and it's actually allowing the top 3, Gilbert, Borg and McConkey. Big slide. We've seen him do that in qualifying as well. So this is costing a position that's allowing these top 3 to get away.
It absolutely is. Gilbert, Borg and McConkey just starting to open up a couple of seconds now over Costa-Texeira and the group that he's trying to tow with him. And there's definitely a couple of separate packs starting to form here, but Aaron Gilbert immediately starting to stamp his authority on this race as he opens up a second over Ryan Borg and Brody McConkey behind. Even with the huge error that these Gen 2 cars have, well, Gen 2 might not be the correct terminology for them, I know, but the amount of error on these things compared to the Gen 3s is significant. And yeah, look, the run down the straight, as long as you're not more than about probably 7 or 8 tenths behind, you'll actually get a fair bit of a tow. Unfortunately for Borg and McConkey, Gilbert's broken that and he's already out in front, so they're going to really struggle here. Brett Loxton has given that spot up to Daniel Stevens, who's now chasing as they try and get this sorted out. And there's so much going on throughout this pack. Further back, Henry King and Colin Bruns as Daniel Sneddon runs it very, very wide. Behind him, Wayne Taylor and James Clark are side by side as they get through this little flip-flop section here. And Wayne Taylor will manage to hold on to 15th place for the moment, but under huge pressure. Phil Manuel up 6 spots after starting from the back. He's into 17th and on the back of this battle. Further up, Bray Loveridge, Matthew Day, Matthew Deere, 7th, 8th and 9th, with Gavin Cox in 10th. And it is all happening here tonight, Isaac.
It certainly is. There is battles aplenty, and that's exactly what we've come to expect from a place like Oran Park. We're talking about what these cars are called, the name of them, they are Car of the Future. That is what the technical name for this generation of supercars are. The Gen 3 are the FG Mustang, it's actually the original Mustang and the ZB Commodore. And these were introduced in 2013 as Car of the Future and the new blueprint that formed the base of the supercars we have today. So, well, not that we have today, we don't have them anymore, but that was what formed the basis for Gen 3 all the way up until, or Gen 2 until Gen 3 came in. Looking at a replay here, this is Brett Loxton up the inside of Daniel Stevens at, where is this? This is down the bottom at Volvo Corner, and then on the run up towards the hairpin at the, I'm not even going to try and say that name, but on the run up towards the Goodyear Bridge. So there's a couple of corners, I'm still getting used to all the names, but looking now, as it registers that they jump in the pit lane, but that's just because they get so wide there off the exit of the final corner that the game thinks they are going in the pit lane. And I think if it comes up that they're going in the pit lane, that's how you know they're pushing hard.
Yeah, pretty standard. There's a couple of tracks like that where you'll see a whole lot of notifications of pit entries, and indeed our telemetry here seems to think that just about everyone's gone into the pits multiple times. We haven't had a single person actually come through the pits, save for Scott Watts starting in them. But that pit entry is the racing line, which again for race 2, when those stops are likely to creep in, that could cause some issues as well. Take a look at Phil Manuel. He's really keen to get a move on here, starting to really push Wayne Taylor along, wants to try and get past and keep this progress going. James Clark just ahead is also up 5 spots from where he started, so it's all going on. This is a bit further back. Craig Bell, the Bram entry, I think tonight, from memory, his first night racing in LARC, so out there and mixing it up with Simon Caplet and Jason Merrifield from Styx Racing for P20 or thereabouts. And look, it really doesn't matter where we look on this track, there is something going on just about everywhere, with the exception of the front 3. Aaron Gilbert has got himself out to just a little over a second now. The big gap, though, really behind Ryan Borg. Have a look at Braden McConkey starting to drop off. He's just, I don't know whether he's overcooked the tyres a little bit trying to hold the front 2, but he's really lost some pace there.
Yeah, he's look, just struggling to keep up a little bit at the moment. He looks quick in qualifying, but just hasn't been able to find that or continue that pace after that early error at the start of this one. Across the Goodyear Bridge now on the run down towards turns 7 and 8. And then the Yamaha corner at turn 9. We're looking now at Phil Manuel in 17. Starting from the back of the field tonight, so didn't set a time in qualifying. Working his way through the pack up to 17th place at the moment. Doing well.
Yeah, absolutely is. And plenty of... This is the challenge, right? If Manuel does manage to move up a fair number of spots, it's all going to be undone with a full reverse grid, isn't it? So he might find himself starting from the back again. At least he'll have the experience of having done it already in this race. So I don't know, you've got to look for the bright side in all of it. Miguel Costa-Texeira under huge pressure at the moment from Brett Loxton, who's just been hanging around that rear bar for the last, I think about 3 or 4 laps, and not giving him any room to breathe at all. So he's going to have to be super, super consistent here. We go on board looking backwards from Costa-Texeira, and there it is, Brett Loxton right up underneath that rear wing, and just threatening to throw a move down every chance he gets.
Yeah, he is really just threatening the back of this car at the moment, as you said, trying to find a way past. He's putting the pressure on. You can see all that Miguel Costa-Texeira will be seeing is Brett Loxton fully in his rearview mirror. And you look backwards, he's all be able to see out the rearview mirror. So they're putting pressure on, running towards
the inside of the final
inside 12, and it's dirt. It's very dirty on the outside of the road. So Costa Texeira does not want to get caught out of there. Multiple drivers going off the road and dragging the gravel onto the outside of the racing line, so you don't want to be caught wide at the final corner. It compromised him a little bit with a lack of grip, and better run off the final corner for Brett Loxton. He gets that move done up into P4. Fantastic work from the Jinx Shifters driver, and now has the opportunity to set after 2.66 seconds up the road is Brodie McConkey, so a bit of work to do, and he might, Costa Texeira will probably want to try and go with him, as will Dan Stevens. They'll want to try and move their way up to be in a battle position for the podium here. Looking at, this is Daniel Snedden, a bit wide. This is going to open the door for Henry King, to go through up the inside into the hairpin at 4.
Look at James Clark
also trying to get a part of this.
behind.
Oh, loose there for Snedden, and that's going to invite Clark up the inside at 6 towards 7 and 8 now. The flip-flop, as it's as you affectionately call it, the S's, I believe it is called, and then into Yamaha corner at 9. So that is going the way of James Clark. Oh, there's contact, and around goes Clark. He's off the road, and Snedden's waiting up to try and redress it. But Clark is well off the road, and that is the problem.
Huge infield. Huge infield.
Huge infield. That's the problem with Oran Park here. You go off the road, all of a sudden you're in the middle of nowhere. A bit like Kimi Räikkönen at Brazil when he got lost that one time, because there was just so much outfield for him to try and navigate through. There's so much infield here at Oran Park. You feel like you don't know exactly where to go to get back on the track.
And after all of that, the one thing I wanted to point out is we saw Loxton make that move and get past Costa Texeira in that final turn. He was really skirting the inside edge of the curbing in that final turn, and it's actually a pretty significant drop-off. Might have a look forward as we see Phil Manuel picks up a slowdown. He's pushing on very, very hard. Daniel Snedden had a bit of a moment there somewhere as well. So he's just starting to fall back through the field a little bit. Let's take a look for Costa Texeira. Just have a look at the inside edge here. If you're not familiar with Oran Park, look at the angle on that. It's a little hard to see from overhead camera, but it is actually a fair drop-off. If you drop those left-hand wheels off the edge and over the curbing, you are going to be thrown down that hill and into the infield. It's a real risk and reward scenario when you go into that final turn every single time. Let's see what Simon Caplet's got up the sleeve. Is he going to risk it? He's coming pretty close to the apex, but not hugging it at all. Quite happy to just sit in behind his Bram teammate Matthew Mellor and just take the tow all the way down this front straight as they start to reel Daniel Snedden in. Further up, Phil Manuel and Wayne Taylor continue their battle. Aaron Gilbert are just starting to come off the pace a little bit as Ryan Borg gets that down to 6/10 now. So this is starting to heat up for the front end of this. Borg just finding his tyres, finding his pace, and starting to just threaten Gilbert with a bit of a good time over the rest of the race here.
Yeah, certainly threatening him with a bit of competition. And I think Aaron Gilbert, he's had that on occasion, but for the most part, he's just looked comfortable out in front. I don't think he's really expecting someone to show up with the pace that he's had in these first 2 rounds. But Ryan Borg has absolutely found something in the last couple of laps. He has closed right in, and we'll keep a close eye on that. But at the moment, we are watching Simon Caplet and his teammate Matt Mellor for 17th place on the road. Caplet desperate to try and find a way past. Does he have a little bit of a look on the final corner? No, he sits a bit wider, actually, maybe just to go narrower out. And you can see there, which means he can get on the power earlier, get the foot down, try and close up, but it's just not enough. The slipstream effect not taking a hold early enough in that straight for it to be a difference, and he just backs off to give the space. A little bit of a lock there from Matt Mellor. He's going to go wide. This is going to open the door for Simon Caplet. He'll have to go the long way around at 3, but it has opened the door for him to get the move done on his teammate, and I think that is it. He is ahead coming into 3 and up to 4 at the hairpin. He's got that well and truly done, and Mellor backs out of it, and that is a position gain for Simon Caplet. Just putting the pressure on, forcing Matt Mellor into an arrow. That inside lock at 2 caught him out, and he ran wide and opened the door for Caplet to go through.
Another battle shaping up on the run down the main straight. You can see off in the distance Aaron Gilbert and Ryan Borg getting closer and closer together. But this is what we're watching here. Costa Texeira and Daniel Stevens, 5th and 6th at the moment. Really, both of them just reversing where they started this race. Costa Texeira starting in 6th, and Daniel Stevens starting in 5th. So they've really they've been back and forth here tonight. Have only really just swapped positions off their starting grid We do have Wayne Taylor has copped a fair bit of damage. He's the first one, would you believe, with a meatball here tonight. That is hard to believe that it's taken 13 laps. But it looks like he's gone just a little bit wide off track and into the wall and into the tyre barriers there, and carrying some front right damage. We'll go back and we'll take a look at that in just a moment, as we see Matthew Day and Matthew Deere making their way around in this battle for 8th.
Yeah, they certainly are. And up the inside, the battle of the mats. This is an unconventional spot. A Yamaha corner, turn 9 to get it done, and he's actually pulled it off. And Matthew Deere goes ahead of Matthew Day. You don't want to just call them Matt D, do you? Because you'll still get them confused. But up the inside, there's contact between Richard Mayer and Matthew Day as they try and resolve this position as well. Mayer saw this.
Isn't it?
Is it? Actually, it does look like
Mayer
Gavin Cox. I thought that was Mayer and Cox. I thought it was Day and Mayer going at it, but it's actually Gavin Cox trying to capitalise on the fact that Mayer was too busy watching the battle in front, that he was caught out with Gavin just showing up and shoving his nose down the inside into the final corner, and the contact between the two almost ended in disaster as they got caught on the dirty side of the road. And in front, the two Matthews still going at it as well. This is a replay of what happened to Wayne Taylor coming
just
through.
catches that curb hard.
Massive hit into the wall, but yeah, caught him out on the curb, unsettled the car. And that is very unfortunate. He'll get that damage repaired, no doubt. Hopefully get back out on circuit. We've got 10 laps to go on the line. But Mayer, he is under pressure from Gavin Cox for the last spot in the top 10.
He is indeed, as Scott Watts has had an issue out of that final turn as well. Looks like he's gone into the outside wall perhaps, and it may not be. Yeah, there's the meatball just showing as he gets on into the pit lane, tries to get it going. It almost looked like he was going to get stuck there.
It did look like he was going to get stuck, but he's got it moving and into the lane, so that damage will be repaired on the 67 Ford Mustang. This is a replay of what happened to Scott Watts. So let's have a look here for the
just a lock up on the way in.
And that's on the dirty side of the road as well, so it locks the car up, and then usually sometimes you can try and let off the brake a little bit just to clear it, but as soon as you're on that dirty side of the road with all the marbling and the rocks and everything that's being caught out there, and it's getting worse as the race goes on, that is not an easy place to try and clear a lock brake. So he unfortunately has just been a passenger at that point, straight into the wall, and has to come in and get that repaired.
Now, while we've been watching all the action going on back here as Daniel Sneddon and Simon Caplet continue their little battle, Gilbert and Borg, for all their battling, all they've done is bring Brodie McConkie back into it out in front, and the three of them starting to really compress up. There's only a second and a half from first to third now, and Aaron Gilbert, look, big lock up there from Ryan Borg. That's a mistake that's going to allow Brodie McConkie to come through, and he will. Says thank you very much to his teammate, rolls on through and picks up second place. Ryan Borg will have to settle in and now needs to watch his mirrors because Brett Loxton is not too far behind either.
No, Brett Loxton, he is putting in the work to try and catch these guys. He's lapping fairly quickly. The last lap for Loxton was a 2:04.7. These guys in the 2:05, so he is significantly quicker than Borg and McConkie at the moment. Also quicker than Aaron Gilbert, so he is the fastest car at the moment out there in P4, and he's on a mission to try and catch the top three if he can. Gilbert is disappearing up the road while McConkie and Borg battle away, but Loxton will certainly be a factor in this very, very shortly. You can see him there as this lap goes on. He is closing in at a rapid rate of knots.
Yeah, it won't be too long and he'll be taking full advantage of the arrow that he can slot into behind Ryan Borg. There's probably still a little way to go yet before it becomes a massive issue, but as the laps tick down here, I don't think it's probably as short a distance to the finish as these guys would like. And now McConkie's turn to lock up a little on the way into that heavy braking zone, and Loxton just gets closer and closer every turn, doesn't he? We'll come back and we'll check on that in a second. Matt Miller, Craig Bell and James Clark. Look at the run of Clark up alongside Craig Bell. Bell out into the kitty litter there, and he's going to slide on the exit, just avoided by Jason Merrifield. He comes through, and there's that drop-off. Had nowhere else to go, so he's going to go back up onto the apron, and he'll get it rolling again. Thankfully, crisis avoided, and we'll get away without a safety car. A little bit of a lock-up there for Simon Caplet. That corner really unweighting those inside tyres as they try and get it turned in, and right on the edge of what they're capable of in terms of grip at the moment.
Yeah, he's actually gone wide there at 3 as a result, carried too much speed in. This has opened the door for Sneddon into 4. He's still wide, leaving room as Simon Caplet, so he's actually opening the door when he probably didn't need to just yet, but it has invited Sneddon to the party. He's gone up the inside and got that done through 6. That is a brilliant overtake, and in the background, Clark gets the move done on Mello as well, so a couple of drivers moving up spots into higher positions for Sneddon. That's inside the top 15 now, and Clark moves up into 17th place, trying to push forward. Clark has actually moved up 3 spots in this race. Sneddon back to where he started. The biggest mover so far is Phil Manuel in 14th. He's moved up 9 places.
Yeah, he's going to find it difficult, though, to continue moving forward, I think.
Stands in the lane.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just had a bit of damage, or if he's just found that he wants new tyres at this point. He's just losing too much time. It's an odd choice. I wonder if there's something else going on there. Deere, Day and Cox, 8th, 9th and 10th right now. And this battle's starting to shape up. The back and forth with McConkie and Borg, and the time they lost with those couple of lockups, this gives you an idea of just how accurate they need to be, and how absolutely flawless they need to be to keep up with Aaron Gilbert. They both had just that one little lockup into turn 2 here, and Gilbert's immediately stretched it out to a second again. It's just unbelievable how consistent Aaron Gilbert is in these cars, and they're going to have to come up with something pretty special to really combat that. The best chance they've got at the moment is starting ahead of him in the reverse grid for race 2.
Yeah, I've been watching the times, and these guys have been ebbing and flowing between 104, or high 104s, low 105s. This is Phil Manuel. What has happened here for the LMB car?
Just gets it
massive
pulled up
slide.
before the bridge.
Just stops it before the wall. Oh, but he's just driven into the wall, I think, there. For good luck, just to add a bit of insult to injury, but he's done well to pull that up, and that could have been a lot worse than it was. But for these 3 at the moment, McConkie, Borg and Loxton, they're sort of ebbing and flowing their lap times, whereas Gilbert has stayed consistent. He's within about 2/10 of himself every single lap. These guys are floating within 4/10 of themselves, so a little bit of a bigger gap and a bigger disparity between their lap times as the time goes on. So they just need to find a little bit more of that consistency. McConkie's in the 104s that time by, and I believe that that was 105.1 last time by for Gilbert, so McConkie's lifting a little bit, but Gilbert just trying to stay consistent, and the guys around him pushing harder and then losing a little bit of time because they overdrive the car, they get a lock somewhere. This is Gavin Cox into top 10 now, putting pressure on the 2 Matthews, Matthew Deere and Matthew Day.
And again, we see a little bit of a lock up there from Matthew Deere under braking, and it's just closed that gap up behind him. He's immediately back under pressure. Within a half second is Matthew Day. Gavin Cox about the same behind. And these 3 find it really hard to get any sort of separation. Ryan Borg now really watching the mirror, because there's Brett Loxton right on his tail and really going after this podium spot.
Yeah, he is desperate to get back on the podium. He started on the front row, did Brett Loxton, and then just got caught out at the start of the race. If you missed it, he got absolutely swamped off the line by pretty much everyone behind him. They were 4 wide on the run down to 1, and was in 5th place by the time they got to the Goodyear Bridge. About 4 or 5 corners into lap 1. He lost a handful of spots. Now he's fighting back, putting the pressure on Borg. What this has done actually is allow McConkie to get away. So it's now 1.7 seconds between Borg and McConkie. And they were right together before Loxton closed up. And then McConkie is trying to focus on Aaron Gilbert, but not able to close in just yet. They're still going time for time. And when McConkie lifts, Gilbert is lifting as well to try and counteract that. So got to keep a close eye on this. This is the replay of the start. Just watch. Safety car pulls in, and then watch them go. And everyone else goes immediately. Loxton
just gets
caught a little bit unaware. He just gets absolutely monstered off the line. I think, trying to work out, I think that was, who was that in the background that didn't go anywhere? That was Dan Stevens that just, I think, got behind him.
Speaking of Dan Stevens, Texera, and a little
say his name
wiggle.
and he appears.
Yeah, absolutely. Miguel's struggling to get the power down side by side. This is a drag race down the front straight.
Still love the bit of racing. That was a little bit of touch.
Just a little nudge. Just a little nudge. They're just feeling out how much room they've got to play with. Stevens, though, gets the move done, stays on the inside, gets ahead. Miguel Costa Texera drops back to 6th. and Stevens back up to where he started. So these guys back into their start positions with just a couple of laps left in this opening race. James Clark and Simon Caplet side by side on the exit as well. Clark's going to have a great run from the inside. Can Caplet get the foot down early enough to challenge here? They're going to go for a run all the way down that front straight.
Yeah, this is
James Clark's too fast.
There you go. He just the side draft really helped him there, I think, for Clark, and he got that move done before they even got to turn one. Another inside lock for Simon Caplet of that front, and that's been a theme of the night, I think, especially for looking at the Falcons. They have been locking that inside front, so maybe a way that car is set up is just not entirely agreeing with him. And it's just, yeah, it just seems to be really floaty, super easy to grab that inside front. This is Aaron Gilbert, no sign of locking whatsoever. He has been on rails so far tonight. Loxton and Borg still going at it for third place in the background. But this man jumped off the line and has been in control ever since. He's got one more lap to go in this first race. He'll have to start all the way from last place, which will be 23rd at this stage for race number 2. But yeah, we've seen him do it before. I believe he did it at Magello, started from the back and came all the way forward to the front, so I don't think it's going to be a problem here for him this evening.
That said, Magello, a much easier track to find a pass at than this is. Although I haven't seen anyone complaining too much about it tonight. They're quite happy to go side by side through just about any turn. I'm surprised that we haven't seen more contact, particularly given the number of people that have been side by side up and over the bridge. I would have thought that would have been a hot spot here tonight, but it's been all right so far. As Aaron Gilbert comes across and takes the white flag, so a final lap to go. Really can't see the order changing too much, save for this battle here. Brett Loxton, one more lap to try and get something done. Behind them, Matthew Day, Matthew Deere and Gavin Cox are all still battling it out at the back end of the top 10. Michael Hammond and Matt Meller on their own little, well, second to last lap battle. But it will effectively be the last one for them, I would think. It's a bit of a hard one to keep track of at Oran Park because it's such a short lap. It doesn't actually... No, they will still have another lap here. They haven't been passed, so they're not actually off the lead lap. Oh, a little bit of contact, and that's going to put Miller into a slide. He recovers it beautifully, but can't quite hold it. He's going to go around into the wall, and he's going to be lucky to get that moving again. Really unfortunate for Matthew Miller. I think Michael Hammond will have a bit of a word from the stewards for that one, as Miller tries to get it rolling, but he'll be all the way back in 20th, and that's where he's going to finish this one, as Aaron Gilbert passes him to take the checkered flag and the win for race number 1. Brody McConkey behind. Ryan Borg and Brett Loxton will finish as they've been for a while there. Brett Loxton just could not recover from that bogged down start. Daniel Stevens will come across the line now and stay ahead of Miguel Costa-Texeira. Brad Loveridge home in 7th with Matthew Deere and Matthew Day staying in that order. Gavin Cox not too far behind either. Richard Mayer all on his own in the Speed Autosport car as Henry King comes home in 12th. Simon Caplet and James Clark are going to take this battle for 14th and 15th all the way to the end though. I don't think Caplet's going to have enough left here to really get across and challenge this one, so it does look like Clark's going to bring this home pretty comfortably. Still a couple of close ones. Michael Hammond, Merrifield, Phil Manuel back in 18th. Not quite the recovery drive that he would have been hoping for. But he will come home at least a few spots up from where he started. And the last car to come across the line will be Craig Bell in 19th, with Matt Miller finishing up that lap earlier. Well, what an opening race that one was, and we're going to be straight into race 2 here, folks, because that is, of course, how it rolls here with these heat races. So we will bring the grid up for you immediately because the drivers will be getting straight back out there and getting ready to go again. So this is how it looks, the full reverse grid. Isaac Edwards and Nathan Allen, I suppose technically starting at the front or from the pits. Wayne Taylor and Scott Watts will start in front with Daniel Stender and Matt Miller behind them. Then Craig Bell and Phil Manuel ahead of Jason Merrifield and Michael Hammond, with Simon Caplet and James Clark rounding out your top 10. As we go further back, we've got a really throwing our grid out a little bit here, but Richard Mayer and Gavin Cox we have skipped over, I believe. Henry King and Colin Brundin amongst that, so apologies to those guys. Matt Day and Matt Deere ahead of Bray Loveridge and Miguel Costa-Texeira. Then Daniel Stevens and Brett Loxton with Ryan Borg and Brody McConkey behind them. Aaron Gilbert, of course, starting at the back of the field, and a really unfortunate late moment there, as has been noted in the chat for Matt Mellor, who unfortunately last turn, second to last lap, and it just got turned around. So I imagine there'll probably be a bit of post-race conversation going on there. We will have to wait and see if much comes of it. But yeah, it won't have been quite what he was hoping for. It was a nice little battle they had going on, and a shame that it did end that way.
Yeah, it was a fantastic battle up until that point. Shame that it ended the way it did. That final corner is so tricky, though, with the very, very dirty outside line. The last thing you want to do is be caught out there. You want to leave room for the car behind. You also want to try and take the racing line if you can, but not get caught out on the marbles that are out wide, especially in those towards the end of that race. It was very, very dirty out there. And Matt Mellor, the unfortunately, the victim in that situation, left to face the wrong way. No doubt the stewards will have a look at it and come to a decision, I'm sure, as we get ready to go again for another rolling start here. So the rolling starts will be the theme of the evening at Oran Park, and hopefully Brett Loxton, who's starting in, the lights come on, and the lights will come on for what will be a very exciting rolling start, but hopefully Brett Loxton can be clued in this time to nail the start. We saw him got it a little bit wrong on the front row last time, just caught a little bit out by how quickly that green flag came by. This time around, though, it'll be Taylor and Watts on the front row, Sneddon and Mellor on row number 2. So for Matt Mellor, the disappointing thing is that he finished all the way down in 20th place in race number 1. But the good news is he gets to start on the front row for race number 2, and we are green. We are away straight away. Jared Cole wasting no time in throwing the green flag out.
Yeah, there's not a lot of run between where the safety car leaves and where they do get underway, and you can see immediately Taylor starting to get absorbed. Who's that off the track? That's one of Bram cars. Scott Watts has managed to pull it up before bouncing across into the pack, so he's done well to pull it up on the grass there, but that could have been absolute chaos. Thankfully, we survived it as Matt Mellor runs the wheels up and over in front of Michael Hammond. Yeah, Wayne Taylor's there. Phil Manuel in fourth at the moment. Henry King is up 9 spots already from the start. We're only half of the way into this first lap. Now, what are we going to see here in terms of potential for fuel saving? That's the question. James Clark, meanwhile, in 7th, at the head of what is essentially the rest of the pack. So this could be the cork in the bottle here tonight. Miguel Costa Texeira already up 12 positions before we even get through the first lap. That is utterly insane as far as a start goes. He's managed to make his way through almost everybody off that green flag. We'll absolutely go back and have a look at that one.
Yep, and McConkie and Gilbert also up 9 spots off the start here, so they're up to 15th and 16th respectively already. Scott Watts, he did a very good job to pull that car up. It was heart and mouth stuff. I thought we were about to see his teammate Matt Mellor get absolutely speared by the 67 car, but he got it stopped. And this is Marin Bell battling away with Caplet, looking to capitalise around the outside. Under brakes into 3. He has to go the long way around. He's trying to get it stopped. This is up with Phil Manuel. He's got Wayne Taylor as part of this as well. So Wayne Taylor going through. Henry King now a part of this as well. So Phil Manuel has to get the elbows out if he wants to try and maintain position across the curb for Henry King. Leaves room, but they are squeezing each other here at the moment. There is nothing left on terms of room. A lot of them around. There goes Henry King. He got sideways. The car was cranked sideways as a result of some contact. Gets it back on the road with minimal damage. He's going to lose a whole heap of positions here, but he's done well to maintain the car control.
Yeah, manages to keep it fairly tidy. I tell you what, it's a whole different scenario. Look at them diving in here. They've got contact. That Brody McConkie into the wall.
Is that Aaron Gilbert? No, who's that that went into the wall?
I think it might have been Richard Mayer.
It's Henry King. It's Henry King. He's got a meatball.
No way. Henry King. Wow, and he's past the pit lane. Look at the front right wheel. That's completely gone.
That is broken.
Completely gone. He had no idea it was that bad, and he's going to spear off the road and down into that kitty litter. He's got a long way to go, and that front right absolutely disconnected from the car.
If he drives this back, I'll be greatly impressed. That is going to be a very, very tough challenge to try and get that car back. It is ruined. Oh, in the wall! Massive hit for Sneddon. It's carnage here at race 2. That is a massive hit into the wall for Sneddon.
That's engine smoke.
That is engine smoke. That car is not going anywhere. We could see a safety car here. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't, because that is a massive hit for Sneddon. Henry King is trying to get this car back. He is desperate to push on. Up the inside now for Jason Merrifield. He's desperate to try and get it done before we get that safety car call. They're still side by side pushing on. At the moment, we are still under green flag conditions. Nothing is being called, but King and Sneddon is not going anywhere. He is full stationary, nowhere to go. Hammond is 21 seconds down. I didn't even see what happened to Hammond. He was leading the race at one stage, and we've lost Matt Mellor to 5th as well. So Phil Manuel's actually out in front of this field. What is going on, folks? There are some massive amounts of craziness happening, and everyone looks to have neutralised. So I believe we are going to get a safety car here because no one's going for overtakes, and we've just neutralised a little bit. Everyone's backed right off here, Jason Merrifield. What is going on?
Yeah, we do have confirmation. A bit of a safety car going on. Nathan Allen out in the Porsche. Not quite sure where he is at the moment.
What is Jason Merrifield doing?
There he is. He's manned up the front of the lane, or front of the race line. Phil Manuel finds himself in first. Well,
yes, I'm very confused as to what was happening further down the pack. Merrifield, when the safety car was called, almost slammed on the brakes, and
I think
actually held a couple of cars up.
A few people with doing that.
I think he has, and he slowed right up. Cars didn't know whether to go past or to see him behind, and eventually they've decided, well, if he's going to go slowly, I'm going to go past. But that is very strange indeed. I don't quite understand what has happened there. King has sent him back in the lane now to get those repairs done. Hammond at the back of the field with this question mark over what happened to him because he was leading this race. Matt Mellor's gone from 2nd to 5th. Phil Manuel finds himself in control of this field. Gilbert is up to 9th place already.
Now this is interesting. No one coming in.
Do you dive in or do you save fuel?
Well, yeah,
that is the question.
Going to save enough fuel here. The interesting thing, Richard Mayer, Gavin Cox and Ryan Borg all going into the pit lane just as that safety car was called. So they're back in 18th, 19th and 20th, but they've made a stop. They've topped up on a little bit of fuel, and that might be just enough to allow them to really push on here compared to some of the other cars out there. That said, no one else going into the pits here. It may be a fairly short safety car period. I'm not sure if we're going to see them go back in, but we'll take the opportunity to have a look at Miguel Costa Texeira's start. Watch him tear through this field as they get the green flag. Look at him go straight up the pit wall and just glides on past. Has to pick his way through a little bit here, but as it all compresses, he's just managed to find these holes absolutely everywhere. There goes Scott Watts off into the infield, and Miguel Costa Texeira just says thank you very much. Everyone's left the door open, picks up another couple of spots there, finds himself in the middle. Just a fantastic start on that opening lap.
A great display of car control there, just picking the gaps, timed it to perfection. Finds himself in 3rd place now with a really good opportunity to try and go and win this thing, especially with the fact that Gilbert is still in 9th place, has to try and navigate his way through the field. As he said though, Mayer, Borg and Gavin Cox all stopped and should get home comfortably for fuel here. Everyone else could probably get away with it. They might be able to get to the end, but it will be a big ask. Safety car in this lap, so it's not a very long safety car period, only 2 laps behind the safety car, not a massive opportunity to save fuel. Hopefully there was a lot of lifting and coasting going on for these guys, but they're now under the control of Phil Manuel, who will lead us to the restart.
Such a short lap. And look at this, he's gone very, very early. He's gone for a bit of a jump there, and he's managed to pull away from Wayne Taylor. Miguel Costa Texeira is going to get stuck in behind Taylor as they come across. We resume racing on lap 6 of 31. Costa Texeira has a little bit of a look up the inside. He's not quite going to get there this time, but here comes the rest of the field, and it is a pretty bunched up field behind them as we start to get back down and go under the bridge once again. I'm just looking through the field. Ryan Borg, look at this, already starting to move back up, and then Scott Watts, he's gone around, finds himself facing the wrong way, thankfully towards the back of the field, so it won't cause any real risk there. Could have been much, much worse if that happened up through the compressed field a little bit further. but it is all starting to settle back in. Costa Texeira is through, and he'll start to chase Phil Manuel down now. Wow, what a restart, what a start to race number 2. The reverse grid, as always, delivering on action.
Yeah, absolutely. It always does. There's never a doubt in my mind that reverse grids, especially in sim racing, absolutely do have their place. Just for the action that they provide. Very wide for Brodie McConkey. I thought that was going to be hard to pull up there, but he's managed to do a good job. Daniel Stevens in behind. And he's on a bit of a recovery as well after that contact with Henry King that has left Henry King in the lane with massive amounts of damage still with the meatball flag. I don't know if we're going to see King again in this race. He's now 2 laps down. Watson in the pit lane will have to come in the pit lane with his meatball flag. Then he does have a black flag for James Merrifield. So not quite sure what that is for, but there is a black flag now associated, and he'll have to serve a drive-through.
Now, would you believe that Daniel Snedden has managed to hit that wall at such a pace that I don't think it's actually been picked up as a crash on our telemetry. That is an interesting one. I'm looking forward to going back to that, but at the moment we'll keep our eyes right here as Brodie McConkey gets past Craig Bell. Bell's going to find himself squeezed a little bit wide, and Daniel Stevens is going to try and go through as well. He's going to get there easily in the background. A big moment for Matthew Day under brakes there, manages to hold it together. Colin Bruns just sits back and waits to see what will happen. Further up, Matt Mellor is side by side with Bray Loveridge as they come out of that final turn. Loveridge just out a little bit closer to the ideal racing line. Matt Mellor going a little wide, has to stay off the kitty litter. And here comes Aaron Gilbert already in 7th with Brett Loxton right on his tail as they come down the inside into turn 1. I don't think Mellor's going to have much of a choice but to leave the door open, and both of them are going to sneak on through here. Brett Loxton's going to have a bit more work to do, but he's going to get there fairly comfortably in the end.
Yeah, and I think Mellor just knows that he just is not really, like, he can try and put up a fight, but it's not really going to go his way, is it? With these two, they are on an absolute mission to go through the front of the field, and wherever Aaron Gilbert goes, Brett Loxton's going with him. He's letting out his silence with a car around in the background. Massive issue in the background. That's Colin Bruns.
Matthew Day, Daniel Stevens in it as well.
Huge hit. And another car.
Was Ryan Borg involved?
Potentially. There was at least 3 cars, maybe 4 involved in that one. And that was a huge moment for all of those drivers. You saw it happen in the background of the Gilbert Loxton overtake, and when we were discussing them, and it just looked very, very messy, didn't it? And that's the unfortunate case with a lot of the incidents at Oran Park. They just become messy so quickly because of how narrow this curve is. Look at the lock here for Daniel Stevens. Massive hit with one of the Ford Falcons, and then it continues on as we run down to turn 3. He's up the inside. The car's broken. I just don't think he can turn. I think that steering's broken. He just couldn't turn, and everyone's speed off the road.
Matthew Day, though, was already off the road. I don't know if there was actually any contact there, if he had just gone far too deep under brakes there. But yeah, look, it does look like, and I'm just keeping a close eye on it. I'm not seeing our safety car coming out at the moment, but there's been a bit of a moment there as well where Costa Texeira and Daniel Stevens have shown up as an incident. I think, no, it is. We've got confirmation the safety car is out again. So Costa Texeira has gotten past Phil Manuel. Will lead this one behind the safety car as we try to unpick just what happened there. I do want to have a look at Matthew Day and just how he ended up so far off the track there.
Yeah,
I think he's on his own. Although this would be why he was already carrying the damage from the earlier contact. That front right was never going to help him. So he's just speared off easily enough there. But absolute just chaos, side by side, lots going on. And the simple safety car back out there again. Miguel Costa Texeira will lead this race behind the safety car. We are about a third of the way there, and for those drivers that did come into the pits, I would be starting to get a little bit concerned at just how many safety cars we might end up with in this race, because it's a perfect example of that old adage of safety cars breeding safety cars. The more of these safety car periods we have, the less like it is that any of these front runners will actually need to come in for fuel. And so it might mean that the drivers that have hedged their bets and come in early will actually be at a disadvantage, because these drivers may get away without a pit stop at all.
Yeah, there is huge potential they can get away without having to come in. Just back to that Matthew Day, Daniel Stevens incident. you looked at the contact between the two of them. We spoke earlier in the broadcast, Jared Cole, you mentioned these cars are very, very fragile. There is not a lot of, you look at here, this is Daniel Stevens.
This is his big one. Let's see what's happened.
So this is the contact into the wall. There's a car already stopped there, so that's Daniel Snedden.
Snedden we wanted to see.
Yes.
So we'll go back, and I think we'll find it just a little bit further back.
We'll see if we can find it. Well, with how fragile these cars are, it's so hard. As soon as there's a bit of contact, it just breaks the steering, and you just can't get those cars to rotate. And they both arrived at turn 3, and just lost it all on his own. Huge hit into the wall, and there goes the motor straight away. So that is unfortunate for Daniel Snedden. Huge contact with the wall. And again, these cars are so fragile. As soon as there's something, an incident like that, especially where it hits the wall and moves backwards, it can just absolutely kill the motor.
Well, that's a pretty eventful opening 10 laps, isn't it, folks? We're only a third of the way in. We've already seen a number of cars that have been significantly damaged. Matthew Day is in getting repairs done at the moment. Daniel Stevens, unfortunately, back in with another meatball. So whether he's used the fast repair or not, we can't be entirely certain. I haven't kept a close eye on his pit times, unfortunately, but he is currently in there and has been in that pit bay for coming up on 3 minutes now. Matthew Day not too far behind him. I don't think he's going to really have much of an opportunity to get back out and improve his position from around that 20th mark. Scott Watts is out on track at the moment, but he is a good couple of laps down in 20th position. So look, he has some work to do. He's come past Matthew Day. Henry King, though, a long way back. He spent almost 7 minutes getting the repairs done earlier on. And Daniel Snedden only on what is currently, well, he's actually out of the race now. He only made those 2 laps before blowing that motor. So whether we'll see him back for the final race or not, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Right now, though, Miguel Costa-Texeira leads the race on track, at least, behind our Simple Racing Broadcast safety car, driven tonight by Nathan Allen and Isaac Edwards. Look, at this rate, we'll probably get a chance to drive it at some stage as well, I reckon. Costa-Texeira is up 19 positions from where he started. Phil Manuel only up 6 positions after not quite getting as much out of that first race as he would have hoped for. James Clark up 9, but Bray Loveridge up 15, Aaron Gilbert up 20, Brett Loxton up 16, Brody McConkie in 8th is up 16, so they've made their way through this field fairly quickly, but still not challenging at the front. Aaron Gilbert, though, right there in 5th. I did joke earlier about the only way for these guys to stay ahead of him was with the reverse grid, but it is starting to look that way. Aaron Gilbert just unstoppable here tonight.
He's been unstoppable all season, hasn't he? He made that 5 from 6. He made that 5 from 6, and that's a pretty good record. 5 wins from 6 races. The only other place he's finished this season is 2nd. So could that change in this race? I highly doubt it, because he's in 5th place and we have 2/3 of the race to go, and the rate he's been moving, he will be at the front of the field and battling for first place with Costa-Texeira in no time.
Now the question is, Will Manuel went for a pretty early jump last time. Costa-Texeira, what's he going to do? Is he going to try and hold this field up and just cause a bit of an accordion to try and just throw Aaron Gilbert a bit further back in the field? Because if I'm in Costa-Texeira's shoes, I want to make it really difficult for Gilbert especially to get underway. But he needs to be very, very careful of where the control line actually comes about. Phil Manuel just sitting a little bit further back at the moment, needs to probably close that gap up a little. But it does look like we're going to get another lap yet under safety car, a bit of a longer one as they try to get the mess sorted out with a number of cars caught up in that last collision. And yeah, Colin Bruns, Daniel Stevens, all caught at Matthew Day, of course, spearing off track after the earlier contact with Daniel Stevens. The other victims tonight, Scott Watts has had a couple of incidents along the way. Henry King, an early one that caused a fair bit of damage. But it has been an eventful start to this second race. Did anyone check if the barrier was okay after Snedden annihilated? Look, that bridge has stood up to all sorts of abuse, I reckon it's probably going to cope just fine, honestly. I don't think there's much to worry about. It's a solid structure, the Yokohama
I don't think
Bridge.
it's moved.
No,
I don't think it's moved.
I don't know if you'd even notice that a car had been into that barrier.
Absolutely not. It is, yeah, it is built to the highest of safety standards, and I don't think a car crashing into it will move it. But look, hopefully we're going to get some green flag running here soon. Jared Cole, they've been behind safety car for a little while, and the weaving that Miguel Costa-Texeira is doing is telling me we need temperature in these tyres fast, so we could go green probably this lap, most likely. We'll just wait to see if Nathan Allen does. We do get the confirmation from race control, and Nathan Allen does speed away from this group. They're all bunching up, which tells me we're at a high likelihood of this being the time that we go. And there he goes. He's off. Safety car is in this lap. We are going to get a restart this time by with about 16, 17 laps to go at the line.
As a side note, Big T-Mac in the YouTube comments with my absolute favourite pun of the night, possibly even of the season. It'll be hard to beat this one. Brody about to conquer this field. I love it. Phil Manuel just creeping alongside. He is going to hold him up a little bit. We're going green. Costa-Texeira not making the jump. Look in the background at the dive that's already starting. And it does look like Brody McConkie had to just drop back in there. Matt Mellor getting surprised a little bit by Simon Caplet coming through at pace, and this little bunch a little bit further back in the field is where all of the side-by-side action already is. The front group of about 7 drivers still in single file. Behind them, though, have a look at this. Everyone just trying to get rolling again, but the temp has dropped right out of these tyres, and they're starting to just struggle a little bit with grip until they do get them back up there. Side-by-side, we've got Colin Bruns running a bit wide. Matt Mellor gets off into the kitty litter there, and so he'll drop back. Colin Brunso looked to have his own little set of issues there, although I think it might just be the pressure from Merrifield and Matthew Deere coming through as well. Further up through the field, James Clark, Bray Loveridge just barely hanging in there ahead of a very, very swift-moving Team Jinx Shifters duo, Aaron Gilbert and Brett Loxton, right on their tail and looking to start to make their move up towards Costa-Texeira and Phil Manuel. James Clark really proving to be the only thing holding them back at the moment. Have a look though, you can already see just a bit of a look up the inside there from Aaron Gilbert. He wants to get moving.
Yeah, and the tyres coming up to temperature, the grip is back. I saw Aaron Gilbert make the first mistake I've ever seen him make. We've got multiple cars off the road. Ryan Borg part of this as well. It looked like Hammond and Deere were also in there. Borg's having to get that car back on the road despite losing a couple of positions. He has done so. He's going to have side-by-side action with Taylor here up in front. This is
Gilbert's
Loxton.
Loxton's through.
Gilbert is gone. Loxton's gone on Loveridge, and McConkie's going to try and follow here. It's absolutely sideways trying to follow him through. Can't get it done though. We have to slot him behind Loveridge for now. I was just going to say, I saw Aaron Gilbert make the first mistake I haven't seen him make in these 3 rounds. He locked it inside front on the run towards 3, so he was struggling under cold tyres, as pretty much everyone was, but as soon as his tyres come up to temperature, he is absolutely going for it. In front, Clark is trying to send a move on Phil Manuel. He is desperate to try and get past before Gilbert gets there. He does not want to be overtaken by Aaron Gilbert, so he is pushing Phil Manuel to get a move on, saying, hurry up mate, he's coming, I can see him in the rearview mirror, please get a move on in the distance. Costa-Texeira is going, well, while you boys try and sort him out, I'm going to absolutely disappear up the road. He is gone. 1.9 seconds, 2 seconds now is the gap between Manuel and Costa-Texeira.
And look, this is the opportunity that Miguel needs right now. He needs as much space as he can possibly generate before Gilbert gets through. You talk about Aaron Gilbert struggling with cold tyres. I don't think it's that he struggles with cold tyres. I think he just is pushing so hard that he's quite happy to just exceed the limits a bit while he tries to get them up to temp, and is quite comfortable to do so. It's just, honestly, supercars, whether it's these car of the future models, we'll bury that in my brain at some point, I promise you, or the Gen 3s, there is just something so awe-inspiring about watching someone who really knows how to throw these things around. And we've got a field full of them, ladies and gentlemen. There are some amazing drivers out here on track in the Legacy Australian Racing Championship, and they handle these things like no one else out there. It's just a great thing to watch.
Yeah, these guys are on a hat off to them. I certainly can. But it's contact with Bray Loveridge side by side, so he just let him know he was there and thanked him for opening the door for him to go on through. I don't know if McConkey was too thrilled with that. He's sideways into turn 3, trying to get the car stopped to go for an overtake. So Loveridge trying to come back at him, and as a result, carried way too much speed into the corner. That's actually going to leave him vulnerable to Simon Caplet. And I just did a quick check while that was going on, Jared Cole. Only the top 8 cars have not stopped in this race. So everyone underneath Simon Caplet has stopped, and Hammond leads those cars. So Hammond is the first car that has stopped. So if there is fuel that's still needed for these top 8, Hammond will become a de facto race leader. And look at Loxton in the background. He's trying to... Gilbert cannot find a way past Clark. Big slide. Let's say he can't find a way past. I just jinxed him as soon as I've said that, because Gilbert is going around the outside. They're going to be side by side on the run towards. Well, they're going to make it 3 wide. Brett Loxton. This could end in disaster.
I think James Clark just trying to defend his position there. Again, look at Brody McConkey in the background. Locks it up all the way into the corner. That'll definitely put some extra temp into those tyres, and have a look immediately at the move done. Brady McConkey just charges on through and bangs into Brett Loxton, uses him to pull up that car and gets through up into 4th. That was a absolutely wild overtaking move from Brady McConkey, but he's made it stick.
And James Clark is getting the elbows out here. There's contact between the two of them. Brett Loxton is loose. The elbows are out. There is no love lost between any of these guys at the moment on track. They are leaving everything out there. Loxton has lost so much ground as a result of that contact with James Clark, and through goes McConkey. That has been a free kick for Gilbert, who now gets to set after Phil Manuel with absolutely no pressure from behind. Loxton was following him through every single overtake he made, and now gets to drive off into the distance to try and challenge the two at the front of the field. This is Colin Burns, Gavin Cox, Mayer, and Ryan Borg. This is for the last spot inside the top 10 at the moment. These 4 inseparable. We've seen a couple of incidents between some of these guys already in this race. It's still going on. They are not driving away from each other yet.
And again, just a little bit of a lock up there. Richard Mayer pushing it to the absolute limit as he tries desperately to stay ahead of the trio behind him. Ryan Borg is really keen to get moving on. He's up 10 spots since the start, but should have been a bit further ahead, except that he speared off the track not that long ago. In the background, just noticing Matt Miller swapping positions there a little with Jason Merrifield. Gets alongside, but managed to hold on to 16th as well. Simon Caplet and Michael Hammond in it as well. Only a 10th between them at the moment as they battle it out towards the back end of the top 10. Where do you even look, Isaac? It just keeps going.
Yeah, you really don't. You can't look away from anything, but you're going to miss everything up the inside. That was a lock up from Kaplan. That's left him vulnerable to Hammond now at the front of the field. Gilbert and Manuel going side by side. Gilbert has the inside line. He should have this done by the time they get to turn 2, and he absolutely does. That is position gain. There was a lock up in the background from Loxton. Brendan McConkey's gone wide. I saw one of them lock up. I don't know if it was Loxton or McConkey, but someone trying to defend that position were locked up, and it must have been Brody McConkey, the way he was just so wide coming out of turn 2. And he's lost that spot to Loxton, who now has to try and set after Phil Manuel and make that up again. This is the replay of exactly what's happened. So this is Loxton up the inside. Yeah, massive slide from Brody McConkey, just trying to carry the speed through the corner to defend his position. And unfortunately, he's carried a little bit too much speed, and it has cost him the position in the end anyway. So,
around again.
Scott
Horror
Watts.
night for him tonight.
This is not going well for Scott Watts, is it?
No, it's really not. Someone it is going well for, though. Ryan Ball continues to just carve through the field and try and make his way back towards the front. Side by side with Colin Bruns, to a really tricky part of the track. Bruns off the track there. Going to have to try and get this pulled up. He might end up in the wall. He's managed to hold on to it just barely, but Ryan Ball takes the inside line and he'll continue on. It's still kicking off everywhere we look here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you're enjoying this 3rd round from Oran Park, the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. And as we say that, James Clark spears off the road, brings a whole lot of debris back on with him, but he'll drop back down to 8th. And now Simon Caplet has a chance to have a go at him as well. The back end of the top 10. Again, I don't know what it is about this 10th position, but it just seems to attract battle after battle after battle. I love it, and I love to see it every single time we get out on track with these cars. What is it about 10th position, though?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, isn't it? It's one of those things the closer you are to the back end of the top 10, the more fighting for sheep stations you are. Therefore, the bigger the racing seems to get. He's got a lot of work to do. He's off the road again, and that's going to invite Gavin Cox through. He's done well to catch that. He looked a bit loose there, did Richard Mayer, but he's having a bit of a mare tonight, isn't he, with the way that it's going for him at the moment. This is Loveridge and Hammond. So Loveridge and Hammond in 6th and 7th position, teammates respectively, 007 Motorsport, and it is a Form 1-2 at the moment for the 008 and the 007. Well, actually, I think that's a multi-map 2-1 given the numbers and the order of the numbers. But Loveridge,
carrying a little bit of damage there, isn't he?
Yeah, it does certainly look like it. There's damage that's come from somewhere. Not quite sure where that's come from for Hammond, but he has got some sort of damage. The nose of that.
Daniel Stevens in
squashed.
22nd has just set the fastest lap of the race, 104.75. So he's moving along back there. He's going to need every bit of that to get a couple of laps back yet, but. You know, he's putting in the effort. That's what I like to see. Get back out on track and try and turn some laps. Ryan Borg now behind Richard Mayer. He's looking for a move there. I do want to go back. I've been hanging on to this role as Mayer goes off the track
Richard
again.
Mayer, another Mayer.
Just keeps happening. We've got to stop looking at him.
I think every time
we keep doing it.
It's the pressure of the camera.
It must be. Happens all the time as we see the 007 Motorsport cars looking to go side by side down the front straight. Michael Hammond, despite that damage, absolutely has a bit of pace out of that final turn. Phil Manuel now trying to just hold off Brett Loxton, who's finally caught up to him and looking to move through. Have a look at this spearing move from Brodie McConkey back on lap 18. This is the one we saw where he's just absolutely throwing this up the inside. Sees the opportunity as they get caught up and he's going, nope, up and over. A bit of a barge there into Loxton, which probably helped Loxton straighten up a little bit, but McConkey just charges on through. The Proline Esports driver picking up 2 for 1 there with that move.
Yeah, great overtaking move there. And now we look at Loxton putting pressure on Phil Manuel, and he's closed right in. Gilbert is slowly making his way to the back of Miguel Costa-Texeira and up the inside now for Loxton. Left room has Phil Manuel. They're going to narrow up on the exit of the final corner, turn 12. They will be side by side down the front straight. Drone cam following these guys all the way down towards turn 1. And we'll have the inside line. There's a couple cars leaving the pit, so they'll have to be careful of the train that is coming through. And up the inside now, there's a bit of door banging there. Side-by-side collisions for Loxton and Manuel as they jostle for position. They sort themselves out, but it's gone in favour of Loxton. He'll move up into third. 3.6 seconds away from Aaron Gilbert. He has a lot of time to make up if he wants to try and fight for the race win, really, because it's only a matter of time before Gilbert closes up to Costa-Texeira.
Yeah, and to give you an idea of it, folks, that last lap, Miguel Costa-Texeira running at 105.65, Aaron Gilbert at 104.98, so he's carving a half second out per lap. That said, it's getting close to that tipping point, isn't it? 24 laps down of 31. We're about to start lap number 25 as Costa-Texeira heads towards the line. Aaron Gilbert not too far behind. He's going to need to really put some work in. It's still 2 seconds to close up. It's not a done thing. I reckon Costa-Texeira has a shot to actually hang on to this one.
Look, it is a possibility. He definitely could try and hang on to this, but he's going to have to fight hard for it, and Gilbert is certainly going to throw everything at him. This is Gavin Cox, Simon Caplet battling for 9th place on the road now, so they're catching up to James Clark, who's just in front, and then you can see Ryan Borg now putting pressure on Cox as well. So Ryan Borg could get himself into the top 10 here. This is Loveridge. McConkey's losing spots, so not sure what's going on for Brodie McConkey, but he's not McConkering everyone like I think he would be hoping to at this stage after the strong start he had following that second safety car, and he drops back in behind Bray Loveridge, and I might get a replay here of exactly what has happened to McConkey.
Big lockup.
Just grabs a massive lockup. That's not the first time he's done that in this race. He's having a few issues at turn 2 and off the road, and they swapped positions at some stage, Hammond and Loveridge. So Hammond went through, and then McConkey and Loveridge went for a bit of a side-by-side battle, and once again it's come back in favour of McConkey. So these two might continue this for a little while yet, with only 4 laps to go.
And in front, though, it is all Miguel Costa-Texeira. as he enjoys a fair bit of clean air. The gap definitely coming down. Aaron Gilbert is closing in, but he doesn't just have to close in, he has to actually get there and pass. You see a little puff of smoke as Gilbert locks the tyres in the way, and he's pushing absolutely everything he's got into that Ford to try and catch up to the Pro Line Esports driver as they come up and over the bridge, look across the Texera, tip it in there, up and over the curb, using every single inch of the track that he's got available to him. He's got some work to do here, he knows it, but he can taste the victory here in race 2. It's not far from a win.
Yeah, but it's not done yet. There is still, I actually did my maths wrong, it's 5 to go at the line, so he's still got a number of laps of this circuit, about 5 minutes left in this race to try and hold off the very, very fast charging Gilbert, who is now well within a second. So there's lap traffic in front for them also to contend with. That it's going to be a factor. Scott Watts has just crossed the line after having some sort of issue at the final corner. This is Ryan Borg into the top 10 now, so he's found his way past Gavin Cox, and now putting pressure on Simon Caplet. Could this be a move for Ryan Borg into turn 1 and 2, to get up into 9th place? It's been a bit of a free kick for James Clark. He's driven off into the distance. But will Borg go for the overtake at 2? I don't actually think he's going to be close enough this time.
There from Caplet.
Big, huge lock-up for Caplet. Does, yeah, so that's a huge lock-up. There'll be...
Honky goes through again.
If only there was flat spots on iRacing.
Don't go wishing for it too hard.
It teach these guys a few lessons on maybe not going as hard on the brakes to lock the fronts. You'd see a lot more cautious drivers, whereas it doesn't really matter much in iRacing as opposed to a real-life supercar, because you don't have to worry about locking the brake and flat spotting it. So they can, if they lock the brake, they've just got to be able to make the corner at the same time. Look at this gap between Costa Texera and Gilbert. There's nothing in it now. They are nose to tail, 0.3 of a second. A lap car and Scott Watts about to play a little bit of a factor here as they try and navigate their way past him. This is going to be a fantastic finish to this race with 4 laps to go.
Oh, is there a little nudge there? I don't know, but Watts is around. That is straight murder from Miguel Costa Texera. There's no two ways to put it. Just didn't quite give him the space he needed. Look, it's not the most brutal murder you've ever seen, but it's a murder nonetheless. I'm standing by that. Look, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and unfortunately for Scott Watts, he finds himself spun around once again. Aaron Gilbert, though, all over the back end now. Miguel Costa Texera, this is about to really kick off over these last few laps. I don't want to look away, but I do want to look back and have a bit of a sneaky peek at what might have happened. I think Daniel Stevens has actually had another incident. So from bad to worse for him, but we're not looking away from this one, folks. Aaron Gilbert all in the back of Costa Texera, give him a taste of his own medicine almost. I don't know if Gilbert felt a little bit sorry for Scott Watts or not, but well, they're a bit of a push there. Brett Loxton, geez, he's still moving along back there, isn't he?
He's keen to become a part of this. He's 1.6 seconds away now. He is closing in at a rapid rate of knots. Costa Texera is making this extremely difficult for Aaron Gilbert with 3 laps to go. And I think it's only a matter of time. As you can see there, look at the rate in which he is closing. Brett Loxton is not too far off getting his hand in this battle as well. We're going to have a 3-way fight for the win in this one, folks. Costa Texera determined to hold on. Aaron Gilbert's going to throw everything at him. A quick replay of what happened to Daniel Stevens. And there will be contact here, and just spins. There's a bit of an awkward one. Got caught, it looks like, on this in the side-by-side contact, and it just rotated the car. So that's a bit of a strange one.
I wonder if he might have clipped that curb. It's a fairly tall one.
Definitely could have.
Either way, look at Costa Texera defending here. He can't go all the way to the inside, but he's doing everything he can to just sit in the middle. Big moment on the exit of that final turn. But look at it go. Costa Texera has managed to get it to just grip up, and he's opened up a little bit of a gap, and now Gilbert and Loxton are side by side into turn 1, and it looks like Brett Loxton might actually have the advantage coming into turn 2. He's going to push hard here, and there's going to be a battle for the podium. With just 2 laps left to go, they're all within a tenth of each other.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic, folks. Do not go anywhere. We have 2 laps to go, and there is nothing separating these top 3. They're all a part of it. Loxton just trying to find something in turn 1, but Gilbert is so strong through the 1-2 complex, and it's really never stood a chance, even with the inside line, Brett Loxton. And Gilbert now throwing everything he can at Miguel Costa Texera. Compromised line. He was a bit shallower coming through 5 into 6, and then now through 7 and 8. There's nothing separating these 3 at all. They are nose to tail, trying to find a way past Costa Texeira, there's contact and around goes Costa Texeira and into the lead goes Brett Loxton. So contact between Gilbert and Costa Texeira on the exit of, I believe it was the exit of turn 9. And as a result, Brett Loxton has said, thank you very much. I'm going to drive past both of you and off into the distance. Costa Texeira's got that car spun around. He's in 4th place, but he will be kicking himself after that contact.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know quite what happened there. I looked away from him, and all of a sudden, Miguel Costa Texeira's around. We'll take a very, very quick look at that because this is still going on. We might need an overhead shot to just see if there was any substantial contact there. We'll get back to Loxton and Gilbert before the end of this lap. Yeah, there's absolutely contact there from Gilbert.
Massive contact.
That's going to cost him.
That absolutely cost him. That will be some sort of penalty, but it may not matter because at the moment, Brett Loxton is out in front, and if he doesn't make a mistake from here, he should be in a strong position to be only the second driver this season after Mark Poynton to upset Aaron Gilbert, who has been super strong from the word go in this championship. And Miguel Costa Texeira, you got a feel for him. He was in a commanding position. He was doing everything he could to defend.
Yeah, he absolutely was. But this will do it. Brett Loxton's going to come home. He's going to take the win from his teammate. Team shifters 1 and 2 provisionally. The real winner out of that, though, Phil Manuel moves up and takes third. Miguel Costa Texeira is going to come home side by side with Michael Hammond. He's going to just get there in the end. Hammond almost pulled another position back. And have a look at this coming out of the final turn. A big moment there for Colin Bruns as he loses a position as he can't quite get the power down, so he'll drop back to 11th as well. James Clark sneaks through by 0.04 of a second. Costa Texeira held Michael Hammond off by just 0.08 of a second there as well. But the second race there really belonging to Brett Loxton in the end. He, despite how he managed to get ahead of Gilbert, he had to put in the hard yards to even just catch up to both Gilbert and Costa Texeira there. It was a great drive to get back out in front.
Yeah, he was pushing the limits of that car, wringing the neck out of it to catch up with those front two. And once he got there, he absolutely... Look, he tried to go at Gilbert from a little bit there, and then I think he just realised that probably wasn't going to happen. He just had to wait for a mistake from one of the two of them. And that's, luckily for Brett Loxton, unfortunately for Costa Texeira, that's exactly what happened. And he capitalised at the very right moment, at the very last opportunity that he had, and just drove off and said, I'm not giving it back now. This is absolutely for me. And he's going to do a burnout to celebrate, as he should. That is a well-earned victory for Brett Loxton. He fought hard for that one, but it's a well-deserved victory in race 2 with still one more race to go, would you believe it, Jared Cole? We are not done yet tonight.
Where do we even go from here after that one? How do we try and improve on race 2 for this final race? It's a shorter distance. What I will point out, we barely spent any time at all chatting about the implications of the safety cars and that, but there were absolutely drivers that made it home without having to actually make the stop and take on extra fuel. So that the 2 safety car periods there really making the difference for the front end of the field, and a number of drivers that had to put in a lot of extra work, having taken the early pit stop to try and just make their way back into that one. This is how it finished up in race number 2 tonight. Brett Loxton taking the win by just over half a second from his teammate Aaron Gilbert. Phil Manuel comes home in 3rd, Miguel Costa Texeira in 4th, and we will say a very, very provisional result there, pending any feedback from race control. We'll take a look at that in a moment as well. Michael Hammond and Bray Loveridge come home in 5th and 6th. Some good points for 007 Motorsport there, ahead of McConkey, Borg, Cox and Clark rounding out your top 10. Colin Bruns and Simon Kaplan behind them. Wayne Taylor and Matthew Deere just within 30 seconds. Jason Merrifield and Matt Miller managed to stay on the lead lap, with Craig Bell and Richard Mayer 2 laps down. Scott Watts down 3. Henry King having a horror night in race number 2. He went down to 20th position. And then Matthew Day 6 laps down. Daniel Stevens 9 laps down. Daniel Sneddon not getting back into it after that massive hit from the wall, or into the wall really, in lap number 2. We take a look back at race number 1, just to remind you of how the results stacked up there. Aaron Gilbert out in front of Brody McConkey with Ryan Borg and Brett Loxton. Daniel Stevens had a better race in the first. He'll be hoping for a better race in the third as well, I'm sure. Costa Texeira picked up some good points. Bray Loveridge has been nice and consistent so far tonight. Matt Deere and Matt Day just ahead of Gavin Cox in that top 10. Then Mayer and King just outside of it, with Bruns, Clark and Kaplan behind them. Hammond and Merrifield. Then Phil Manuel, Craig Bell and Matthew Miller 2 laps down in that first race. Behind him, Daniel Snedden 7 laps down. Just an awful night for Snedden tonight. He'll be looking to forget it, I'm sure. Scott Watts had a shocker as well, 11 laps down, with Wayne Taylor 12 laps down. There were definitely some challenges out there for a number of drivers across those first couple of races tonight, Isaac. Third race to go. We've got another 24 laps, another 60 Ks still to go here this evening. Anything could happen from here, couldn't it?
Look, it definitely could, and who knows what we're going to get in the 24 laps that are coming up, the 60k race. It certainly feels like it could go by fairly quickly, as the first race did. A couple of safety car interventions in race number 2 dragged the runtime out to just around 40 minutes, which meant it was a bit of a longer race, but crucially, no one in that front 8 had to stop in the end. Everyone got away with no pit stop, which means that there was just enough safety car period to save fuel. So that was what we were concerned about, and we sort of forgot about it, I think, as the race got on, due to the continued action that we had and the racing. We forgot all about strategy, and we're focused more on the side-by-side action that just continually seemed to happen as the race rolled on. But look, one more race to go. Plenty of action still to come. 24 laps. Anything, as you said, Jared Cole, can happen. Will we see another safety car intervention? Typically, I've always run on the theory, Jared, and I've said this time and time again, that race 1's always a bit chill. Race 2, in any category, is very chaotic, and you see a safety car. Race 3 is off the chain. So if we're going on a sliding scale of most tame to least tame, we're about to get the least tame race in theory.
Well, that's certainly what Matty Morgan's calling out in the chat. He's expecting the chaos race ahead, and I can't argue with him. I'm taking a look through the race control sheet at the moment. These guys are just getting to some of the later incidents in race number 2 now. To give you an idea of what's happened so far this evening. So we saw the pit lane start for Scott Watts in the first race. There are currently 3 post-race investigations slated for Michael Hammond and Simon Caplet coming together on 2 separate occasions, as well as Matt Mellor and Michael Hammond coming together. So Michael Hammond is in the wars tonight, and they're kind of tricky ones there as well. The only other thing noted from race number 1 was Daniel Snedden with a 20-second time penalty for his contact with James Clark. Race number 2, Jason Merrifield did cop a drive-through for failure to follow the safety car procedure. There was also a number of 10-second time penalties handed out. Miguel Costa Texeira has been confirmed to have copped one of those 10-second penalties, but Aaron Gilbert also a 10-second penalty, unsurprisingly, for the contact with Costa Texeira. So not really much impact on how those two finished relative to each other, but it will make a difference when the points come out with the other drivers around them. Matthew Day and Matthew Deere both picking up 10-second time penalties there as well, but that won't play too much of a role towards the front end of the field. The interesting ones, of course, they're Costa Texeira and Aaron Gilbert, both with 10-second time penalties. They will drop further through the field as the post-race numbers all come through. We are about to go racing once again here, folks. The drivers are gridding up now for race number 3, and we will take a look at how they are set to start for this final race of round 3 here at Oran Park. Brett Loxton and Aaron Gilbert, Team Jinx Shifters, taking the front row again. Phil Manuel and Miguel Costa Texeira just behind them. Michael Hammond and Braid Loveridge ahead of Brody McConkey and Ryan Borg. As we take a look further back, Gavin Cox and James Clark in there, rounding out your top 10 with Colin Bruns and Simon Caplet behind them. Wayne Taylor and Matthew Deere on row number 7 with Jason Merrifield and Matt Mellor behind them. Then Craig Bell and Richard Mayer with Scott Watts and Henry King rounding out your top 20. Further back, Matthew Day and Daniel Stevens line up ahead of Daniel Snedden in 23rd. So we will have to just wait and see now, I suppose, what we are going to have ahead of us in this final race. I don't know what to predict here, Isaac. I get the feeling it's going to be chaos, but I can't be certain.
I like the word that, I like what Matty Morgan said in the chat. 3 C's tonight: clean, chaos, carnage. We've had clean, we've had chaos. Are we about to have carnage? That's certainly is what I'm predicting. Not because I don't believe in the driving standards and the way that these guys drive, but just because race 3 of any race evening on an iRacing, especially in a supercars event, just seems to breed carnage. And I will not be surprised if that's what we have. The sun is setting, the light is lower out there, which means that, you know, as it starts to get dark, everyone gets a little bit more wild, a little bit crazier, and we could see some absolute carnage in race number 3. Or we could see absolutely nothing, and it could be nice and clean and green flag the whole time, and everybody just slots in one behind the other, and we see a couple little battles, but nothing too major. The question will be, for me, Aaron Gilbert, Brett Loxton sharing the front row. This is a repeat of race number 1. We saw this off the front row, Brett Loxton not getting started the way you would have liked. This is redemption time for Brett Loxton. He is on pole position. He is at the front of the field. He is in control. He needs to nail this and get off the line perfectly to basically make up for what happened in race number 1. And the question is, can he do it? I'm hoping he can.
Look, I think, you know, when we look at what might be about to happen here in this race, as we get confirmation they're about to start rolling, so we are only seconds away from seeing what turn 1 and 2 will bring us. Look, having the fast drivers starting back at the front is not a terrible thing, because it means they're not fighting through the slightly slower traffic, and the potential for accidents is a fair bit lower. But if they're not seeing a bit of red mist right now after what's just happened in race number 2, I would be stunned. They need to get their head back in the game. It's a hard thing to do. Costa Texera will be really itching to have a bit of a go at Gilbert again, I reckon. And let's see just what unfolds here as they get back around on safety car. It's about to peel away. We're about to go green flag racing, and we are underway for race number 3. Gilbert immediately slots in behind Brett Loxton, Costa Texera and Phil Manuel side by side all the way over to the inside of the track as Brody McConkey, as he tries to get up towards the front end again. And here we go, folks. It is all about to unfold here in this final race. The mid-pack getting caught up still side by side as they try desperately to get themselves sorted. Miguel Costa Texera already up alongside. He'll make the move and he'll take the spot ahead of Aaron Gilbert. Now he's looking to push up towards Brett Loxton. He's not quite going to get there, but he is on that inside line, side by side still with Aaron Gilbert, and he moves across to shut the door and open up the corner on the other side of the bridge. They're wasting no time getting underway, and look at these front 3 start to pull away. Bray Loveridge already 2 seconds behind. Brody McConkey right in behind him. There's been an incident. Phil Manuel is carrying a meatball flag. Ryan Borg is caught up in something back here, as is Michael Hammond. Oh, that thing's cramming badly. That is
a very, very damaged car. There's a number of drivers. Colin Bruns is caught up in it. Gavin Cox, something's happened to him as well. There's a number of drivers caught up in that incident, and it's a huge start. But Brett Loxton crucially nailed that start. He was already ahead of everyone before they even got to turn 1. So Aaron Gilbert was resigned to his fate and just had to slot in behind. And as a result, Costa Texera was got up ahead of him, but now we go side by side. There's contact between the two of them, and up the inside at turn 2, Aaron Gilbert has got it done once again. He got the elbows out and said, I'm coming up the inside whether you want me to or not, and he's absolutely made himself known. There's more contact, and he's turned him around. That is revenge for race number 2. There's more contact
in the background.
Gilbert has made more contact with, I believe, that is Clark. So Clark has made contact as well. He'll be off the road, and Gilbert is in all sorts of trouble now. But contact between Texera and Gilbert, as well, I don't know if it was purposely payback, but it certainly was a reverse of what happened in race number 2 for Texera and Gilbert. A return a serve, and now Loveridge is up into position number 2. McConkey is 3rd, and Costa Texera 4th. But Aaron Gilbert with a meatball flag down in P11.
Yeah, he's carrying a fair bit of damage on the front end of that car, and I think, look at the damage in the background for Michael Hammond. That is huge hit into the wall there as well.
Meatball flags, 5 meatball flags in this field.
Oh, just misses the tyre barrier. So in goes Aaron Gilbert. I think, and we'll go back and we'll have a look at it in just a moment. I'm just waiting to hear from race control if we're about to have a safety car, and there it is. They're already out on track. We've wasted no time in getting it out there. Well, what a start to race 3. Chaos has been delivered, and I'm blaming Matty Morgan. He predicted it. He willed it into existence, and it's exactly what we've got. Aaron Gilbert with a with a black flag. Now, is that for an unsafe pit entry or exit? Because I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't believe that that's actually that's not a race control black flag. That is an iRacing one. So whether that's incident points, whether it's incident points, or whether it's been from his trip to the pits, I'm not sure. But we'll have a look at this. Okay, we've got to go and unravel all of this as quickly as we can here, because we may not be under safety car for long. I want to go back to the very first incident with Phil Manuel, and we'll have another look at this one. So look at this, up the inside, bit of contact, puts him sideways, and then huge contact for Oran Park, gets spun around, who then spins Hammond around, I believe it was. And Manuel actually got away with it reasonably lightly. He managed to sneak through, not so the others behind. As we take a look a little bit further forward, there was of course the contact between Aaron Gilbert and Miguel Costa. Now watch Gilbert here. He's so desperate to get underway that I think he actually just goes straight into James Clark immediately after this. Look at this, James Clark nowhere to go, and just bang straight into the side of him and spins him. Very, very interesting one for race control to have a look at. And then what's happened to Michael Hammond? Well, that's just him trying to.
That's already crabbing at that point. Look at the damage on that car.
So that's from that earlier contact.
Yeah, that was the incident with
Manuel sitting back there. Yeah. That's his team. That's Ryan Borg.
That's Ryan Borg that has not made it back to the pits. That is stuck there stationary. That incident between Gilbert and Costa Texera, I think you're absolutely right. Gilbert has tried to do the Brock Feeney and just gas that car up. This is a replay of what happened to Ryan Borg. He just can't turn that car, and he's off the road. And he's just decided the safest thing here to do with contact with the wall is just to park it up and not try and push it back anymore. So he's just stopped.
Look at Hammond coming in. It's like he's drifting the track, but it's just that chassis is so out of alignment.
So bent. That is absolutely bent, that car. But yeah, I think he's just, look, there was nowhere, there was nothing for him to do besides just try and gas it up, turn the car back around, flick spin it immediately to keep going. But unfortunately, he was not able to do that. And James Clark, the innocent victim, but all still in pit lane, by the way. So Gilbert, Clark, Hammond, Manuel, Borg, all in pit lane. Sneddon didn't start this race. So Loxton is now in command of the field as Alan dives into the lane. So we'll get a green flag here this time by. We are 4 laps into this race.
Immediately out and gets the jump on Loveridge, almost a second by the time he gets to the line. And Bray Loveridge just left standing still. Brady McConkie, Miguel Costa Texera stuck behind. And we've got, just coming out of the pits ahead of them, is that, no, sorry, Loxton was just so far ahead there. He's, am I imagining that? No, it's Loxton up in front. It's Loxton, folks. Yep. I'm not quite sure what happened to my brain just then, but anyway, it's Friday night, it's been a week. I appreciate you all tolerating me trying to figure out what on earth is happening on track. I'm still just a little bit bemused by what we've just seen in terms of the number of incidents that have happened in that opening few laps, and we are on for really a pretty high risk of even more as this field starts to get into some semblance of order. The challenge though really is for some of those drivers to try and come back from the damage that's been done. I think Aaron Gilbert is probably there's no way he's getting back into this race in any real shape or form. He's still sitting in that pit bay 4 minutes into the repairs with no sign of how long he's going to be there. Phil Manuel in the pit bay as well, so it's going to take him a while to get back out on track. Good news for the others out on track who will pick up a few bonus points over them this round, and I think a few drivers will be very, very happy for the drop rounds to be brought into consideration later on. Brett Loxton out in front running a 104.2. Look at the gap he's opened up. Again, it's almost 2 seconds to Bray Loveridge. He is just going to walk away here. Brody McConkie needs to do something. He needs to do something fast to get past Loveridge and start to go with Loxton here.
Yeah, McConkie has the pace. We saw him in race 1 in second place, absolutely flying. He just has to find a way past his car in front, and so far that car for Bray Loveridge is as wide as it possibly can be. He's trying to make that as wide as the circuit itself. He's not going to let McConkey passed with any sort of ease. Costa Texera in the background will also be watching this with one keen eye to try and find a way past these two as well. He could set after Brett Loxton. He'll be looking for a race win. I'm keeping an eye on race control. Looks to the inside now. McConkey thinks about it. The room was left by Loveridge, and he's going to show the nose at turn 2. Oh, massive curb hop. And the curb unsettled the car. It carried him wider than he would have wanted to, and he had to lean on McConkey to get lean on Loveridge to get the car turned in. And as a result, Loveridge is going to lose a spot to Costa Texera as well.
Texera will be really happy with that because he was about to be in the same position as McConkey and having to find a way past Loveridge. He's been gifted that bit of space, so he can now just follow McConkey through, and they can start to work on pulling in Brett Loxton's almost 3-second lead at this stage behind Loveridge. Matthew Deere, Simon Kaplan, Henry King's there, Richard Mayer is there, Jason Merrifield a couple of seconds back at the head of another group of Colin Bruns, Daniel Stevens, Gavin Cox. It's a very, very different front end of this field with Aaron Gilbert, Phil Manuel out of this, and we're just getting the update in the chat there, folks. If you're not seeing it, Michael Hammond, a 4-hour repair. I'm not surprised. In fact, I'm actually really impressed at the iRacing pit crew that they can straighten that chassis out in only 4 hours. That's actually brilliant.
That is for a car of the future car. That is fantastic work on the chassis. I have to say, lock up for Loveridge. And around goes. That is Matthew Deere. Contact.
He's collected Simon Kaplan.
Carnage.
Henry King has been caught up in that as well. We're going to see more Caplets of meatball.
That's the engine. That's the engine for Caplet.
We're going to have another safety car.
That is the engine. That car is not moving. Matty Morgan, wherever you are, you have absolutely nailed it. Race 1 was clean. Race 2 was chaos. Race 3, carnage. That is the only way to describe it. Look at that car. That is broken for Henry King. That is devastatingly broken. And it is all kicking off here at Oran Park.
If I remember correctly, did Henry King have the same issue in race 1, where he's come down the front straight and tried to turn and ended up just going straight because his front right was completely snapped?
Yep, that's exactly what happened in race
front
1.
Left. His mechanics must hate him, and in the background, look who's creeping out there. That's Nathan Allen.
There's a safety car. Yeah, we are back out again. Keeping an eye on what's happening in race control as well. Just while we are on the safety car, post-race investigation for the Aaron Gilbert Miguel Costa Texera incident. So we won't know what happens with that until later into the evening, or albeit into the weekend. So that is going to be left as one to look at later on. I think there's a few more questions that need to be answered for that incident before they come to a ruling. So it has been noted as well, that incident between Brodie McConkey and Loveridge, where McConkey just used a little bit too much of the curb and had to lean on Loveridge to get the call. This is Merrifield.
A little bit of a nudge there as Jason Cox, Gavin Cox came through. This is Matthew Deere. Goes wide, gets the slide on, but then there's Caplet.
Bang.
Caplet then goes around and collects Henry King as well. It's there's the hit. There's the hit. Watch this one. We'll go back and we'll watch Simon Caplet here. But watch the last car coming through. There's another car comes through just after Richard Mayer. I think it might be. Watch this contact. Little nudge. That's not quite what's done it. So where's his motor gone? He's just going to get it rolling again here and just. Oh, there it is. It's just the rear end is so broken.
He's loaded up, and he's loaded up on the clutch too much. I think. Like he's just loaded up, trying to get it to go. And it's just absolutely.
That might not have been engine smoke actually. It wasn't. His engine's okay. That was simply tyre smoke as he was trying to get it moving again. So that's good news for Simon Caplet. It's still going to be a hefty repair, but I don't know that he's actually had a fast repair needed to be used yet. And if it's relatively light damage, he might get away with the getting back out there again. I'm not sure on the amount of time it takes to tow here at Oran Park. It's already been 2 minutes for Caplet. So it looks as though maybe he's not actually going to get the fast repair and get back out there. This could be quite a long time for him, just sitting and waiting for those repairs to be done. But we'll keep an eye on Henry King, surely just out of it for the night. If not because he's got no fast repair, just from frustration, you'd have to think he's got to be done tonight. Honestly, it's been such a rough night for him. Not the only one by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, that's the rough one. Ryan Borg, well and truly out of this after the start here tonight. And I'm trying to. I've got it listed here to go back and have a look at, but I think we're actually about to go racing again. Looks like our safety car pulling away, so we'll be green flag again. McConkie and Costa Texera get another run at staying with Loxton here. Loveridge behind them. I suspect there's going to be a gap for open up very, very quickly behind this front three.
Yeah, I do not see any reason why there should not be a gap between these front three. Loxton will be kicking himself. He had a massive gap to those behind. He's done it again. He's gone early, so he's absolutely driven off. This time, McConkie's been a little bit aware to it, so he's tried to go with him. Costa Texera as well. So not as caught out this time, the cars behind. They're aware of the strategy, what he's going to try and do. And with starting lap 11, so about 14 laps to go in the race. Massive lock-up for McConkie, so he's gone for an early move. Tried to capitalise on the tyres are cold, but he's massively locked up. He's done well not to drill the back of Loxton there and actually get the car pulled up in the end. But they are trying to go with him here early. McConkie, desperate not to let him out of his sight. He had to get past Loveridge. He worked hard at that. It's under investigation as to whether that will be a penalty for McConkie or not with the bump and run. But in saying that, he is now in behind Loxton. We talked about how he had the pace in race 1. He couldn't capitalise on that pace in race 2. This is a prime opportunity for him to show that pace once again and try and take it to Brett Loxton here with plenty of time to go in this race.
And Ray Loveridge and Brody McConkie, some contact between them on turn 2. Back on lap 7, that's another post-race investigation. I'm counting 5 post-race investigations at this stage. I think the race control team are going to have it cut out for them tonight. Miguel Costa Texera picks up a slowdown. We've seen so many meatballs, so few slowdowns. I'm not even sure where he's picking those up, honestly.
It's like the second slowdown I've seen tonight, and one of them was because he was all the way in the infield. So I don't know where.
Fair enough. Then.
I don't know where Costa Texera's gone to get a slowdown, but it's actually made him lose touch with those front two, and now he is right in front of Loveridge and Stevens. Stevens looking for a much stronger result in race number 3 after a very testing race number 2, and he is certainly doing that at the moment. In position number 5, Gilbert is making moves, but that's because he's back out on circuit and he is unlapping himself from those that are currently in the pits with meatball flags getting repairs. So it's good to see Gilbert back out there. He will collect some points as a result. He is thinking championship picture here. Obviously, you never know what your worst round is going to be, so not throwing in the towel and just getting out there and getting some points. He's doing himself a favour in the long run for this championship. He's thinking big picture, but it has been a testing race for Gilbert. It's good to see him continuing on though, and this is a battle still with Miguel Costa Texera. Loveridge not close enough on this occasion to make something happen. He is looking to the outside, but I just don't think he's deep enough.
Mellor and Wayne Taylor were side by side on the way into 1. Mellor's backed out of it. Taylor goes through and picks up P10. So just sneaks in there. Brett Loxton and Brody McConkie continue to extend. They're almost 3 seconds ahead of the group headed by Costa Texera. Still 8 tenths between them, so that battle not quite starting to unfold yet. A number of drivers still in there with repairs. Henry King, Simon Caplet, Phil Manuel will all be effectively out of this race, and we're just past the halfway point, would you believe? Ray Loveridge now under attack. Daniel Stevens starting to close in. Can he get a move done?
That is the question. Stevens, he'll be wanting to put the pressure on. He had a good run in race number 1, but again, just didn't have the luck in race number 2, did he? And this we asked the question, could he bounce back in race 3? And so far he has done that. He's putting the pressure on Loveridge as we run down the front straight. So 14 laps gone, 11 laps to go in this one, including the lap that we are on. And there is work to do for some of these drivers. That is Matthew Day trying to close back up to Burns. And it looks like they backed out of that a little bit more than I expected them to. Look at Stevens in the foreground. He's showing the nose on Loveridge. He's just hounding the back of this car at the moment, letting him know he's there. I don't think that Loveridge has any concerns about there not being a car behind him. I think he's very well aware that Daniel Stevens is there, because he is all over the road, left and right, just trying to put the pressure on, maybe trying to force him into a bit of a mistake by applying that pressure.
Watch Stevens work the wheel here as he tries to keep his car under control while still staying as close behind Loveridge as he possibly can. Bit of a slide there. That's the little mistake. that Stevens wants to see. He knows now that Loveridge is on the absolute edge of control. And here he goes. He's going to jam it up the inside. He's going to have to leave just a little bit of room there. Loveridge leaves the space. Now they're going to be side by side down the front straight. Can Stevens keep the foot in it? Loveridge has got a slightly better run. He's going to pull ahead. Can he shut the door? That side draft is just holding them together. There's not much there. They come across. They're going to be side by side. Loveridge misses the opportunity. Daniel Stevens goes through. Wow, what a little sequence there. And behind them, well, he's going to be under attack immediately again. Loveridge gets no rest at all because Gavin Cox and Colin Bruns right there. Matthew Day not too far behind. These guys just keep fighting each other tonight.
They do, and huge news coming out of race control, folks. A 10-second time penalty to Brodie McConkey for that incident with Bray Loveridge we saw earlier on in the race. So Brodie McConkey, who's currently sitting in second place, will drop at this stage right down the order to, well, what's that? About 8th place at the moment. So in behind Matthew Day as it stands. So a 10-second penalty is huge. It's taking him well off the podium right now.
Yeah, he'll be hoping that we don't get another safety car, because if this field compresses again, the damage is even greater at this stage. That said, we still have all those post-race investigations going on. One of those is concerning Miguel Costa-Texeira. There's also, I think that's probably the only one that really we're not going to get a good view of, and certainly the only one that applies to this race at this stage. There is another between Kaplan and Matthew Deere, but that won't really have much of anything to do with the top end of this field for tonight's race. But for Brodie McConkey, what he needs now is a clean run home for the next 8 laps. Lox and McConkey need to finish a lot further out in front. Right now, the gap is nowhere near as big as McConkey would like it to be.
Yeah, and he just needs to try and go with Brett Loxton. I don't think the win is on the cards. If Loxton isn't moving at the pace that he likes, he could go for the overtake, try and get past, but I think at the moment he just needs to try and go with Loxton, who does have the pace in this race to pull away and has already made about 5 seconds on, well, over 5 seconds on Miguel Costa-Texeira. So continuing to pull away will be the strategy. This is Matthew Deere, a little bit loose on the curb. Used a lot of curb there, unsettled the car a great deal. He's done well to keep it pointing in the right direction. He's putting pressure on Scott Watts, who's had a bit of a tough night. That is a beautiful move. He set him up on the exit of 9 through 10 and 11, and then on the exit of 11, he has absolutely nailed that. And now Scott Watts is actually going to be under pressure from Richard Mayer down the front straight. And Mayer, who again has been another victim of the difficult evening, could go for a move into turn 1 and 2. Up the inside he goes, and that is perfect. I think Watts is backed out of that, not wanting to have any contact as a result, and an inside front lock for Richard Mayer at turn 2, but he still kept it on the circuit. That's a very punched-in rear end for Wayne Taylor. That is, yeah, looking a little bit second-hand at the back of the car there. Someone's let him know that they're behind him at some stage, but it's not looking the best. But he is sitting in 12th place at the moment and just ahead of that group.
Well, what do they say? You can't talk to the other drivers, so you've got to communicate via Morse code, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
It's just exactly the only way to do it. Well, up towards the front end of the field, things starting to settle down now, and that's good news for Loxton and McConkey. McConkey especially wanting to extend that lead as far as he can. Daniel Stevens, for the first couple of races that he's had tonight, he's in a much better spot, and I don't want to watch too much of him in case we somehow curse him again. He's up 18 spots at the moment. He's up into 4th. Might even salvage some decent points from tonight, you know.
Yeah, this could be a really good result for a number of drivers inside this top 10, with the penalties that look like they could be coming the way of a number of drivers before the evening is over. So Costa-Texeira, as we said, that'll be investigated post-race. McConkey already with a 10-second penalty. Deere under investigation. He's currently sitting in 13th place. Cox is putting pressure on Loveridge, so Colin Bruns is actually not too far off the back of this group, and neither is Matthew Day. You can see him there just floating in the background as well. This is for the last spot in the top 5, but could turn into a spot on the podium the way things are going. McConkey's still trying to do his best to pull away from this group and from Costa-Texeira and go with Brett Loxton, but as it plays out, you never know what could happen, especially in a late race safety car. This could be a podium spot these three are battling for.
It could be. The unfortunate thing is that we won't really know until well after tonight exactly how it's officially adjudicated. And this is the challenge. I'm sure I've said this. very least every time. Oh, big moment there for Bray Loveridge. That's going to cost him a couple of spots. Cox and Bruns both go through. Can Matthew Day follow through as well? He's not quite close enough to take advantage of it, but Loveridge just gets a little bit loose under brakes, slides it to the outside and gives up those couple of spots. Now he's going to have to fight to stay with it. In the background, that's Matthew Deere off the road. He's had a big moment. I think he's just spun. I don't know if there's been any contact, but there's certainly damage to the front end of that car, and he's looking to really pull up. In the background, who's that's gone to roll? James Clark goes around.
James Clark.
Okay, so just a bit of a slide there. I wonder if there's a bit of debris that's been dragged on to that turn that's catching people out. We'll go back.
Seems to be. That was a lot of incidents in the same corner in a very short span, so that's certainly very interesting. Have a look here. This is Matthew Deere. And what exactly is happening?
He's just turned it on the brakes and flicks right around on that curve very, very quickly. Just gets caught on it a little bit. And then James Clark follows through not long after, almost immediately after, but I think they're just really pushing very hard up and over. The inside curb there with that nasty little lip on it just really loves to flip cars around. It always looks far more impressive than it really is as far as the incidents go. So thankfully no real damage done there, except to perhaps a bit of pride.
Definitely a few bruised egos in that instance for Deere and for Clark, but the push on Bell is in the lane, so that's interesting to note as well. Possibly some damage on that car for Bell, which means that he's found himself in the pits with only 4 laps to go, so not long left in this race. Time absolutely does fly, especially under green flag, and a number of drivers still trying to solve positions. So Gavin Cox in P5 is trying to pull away from Colin Bruns and Bray Loveridge. Out in front, Brett Loxton. 2.8 seconds is now the gap back to Brody McConkie, who sits in second place at the moment. Looking at my timings, McConkie will finish in 6th place if it stays as it is. Probably could find himself inside the top 5, but he will definitely lose this podium the way things are going. What will happen with Miguel Costa-Texeira and Miguel Costa-Texeira post-race? Dan Stevens is definitely going to inherit a podium finish here with McConkie's time penalty. Could find himself inheriting 2nd place if Costa-Texeira is also found guilty of a rule breach in that post-race investigation. Remember, he had that contact with Aaron Gilbert very, very early in the race that led to a chain of events that eventually we had the first safety car. This car locked up in the background at turn 2. Potentially off the road.
I think that might be Matthew Deere again.
Matthew Deere not having a good time of it at turn 2, is he?
No, not at all. Just pushing too hard over and over again. Look at Wayne Taylor, just thinking about a move at one of the most awkward parts of the track. Decides not to, and that's probably the safer move at this point. He's all over the back of Richard Mayer, and if you can get a good run down the straight, definitely a way to want to go about it. But Mayer's starting to pull away. That's a brilliant little exit. It's giving him the extra pace down there. Matthew Deere just over and over again. Turn 2 is just not working for him, is it? Just gets out onto maybe just caught a little bit of grass there as he started to brake. Just the tiniest bit, but that can be all it takes. He's already off in the kitty litter as he gets onto the brakes and it's just sent him wide again. From bad to worse for Matthew Deere. The Team Jig shifts his entry. Look, to his credit, he's still where he started this race in 14th. So it could be worse. Absolutely could be worse, but he's gone around enough times, hasn't he?
Yeah, it certainly could be worse, but he has gone around enough times. He's done quite a number of pirouettes, and he's still a minute ahead of the next car, which is James Clark in 15th place. Bell with a black flag against his name, and then Gilbert 2 laps down. King about a minute behind him. So great to see those guys back out there. Simon Caplet said it wasn't a blown engine, so not quite sure what the issue was in the end for Simon Caplet. Looks like maybe an issue.
Just huge amounts of suspension damage, I think.
Huge amounts of suspension damage, but we probably won't know the specific incident there. A 4-hour repair for Michael Hemmond, so he's chosen to retire that car as well. Ryan Borg also retired. Phil Manuel still in the pit lane, just clear to meet ball flag, so
23 minutes.
Still waiting for his repairs. He's been there for quite a while. That is a long time to sit, but credit to him, he sat there and waited. Will he get back out there before the race is over? I'm not too sure. Loxton's just about to start the final lap, so
it does seem a little bit unlikely, doesn't it?
He has committed to getting that car repaired, which I respect.
Well, I mean, at this point, you've been in there for that long. You may as well sit it out and see what happens. Brett Loxton, though, has made this look really just way too easy. You would almost ask whether Aaron Gilbert's actually sitting in the room next to him and they've swapped seats and Gilbert's jumped in. Loxton's quick, don't get me wrong, but this is a Gilbert performance we're seeing out in front. And it's amazing what you do get to see when one of the other teammates is out of the way, so to speak. Brett Loxton showing off what he can do here. He's going to come home with what is an almost 5-second advantage over Brody McConkey. It's been a great drive all the way home. And a very, very well-deserved win here this evening in this final race, if only for surviving the carnage.
Yeah, he's survived very, very well, and he's going to make it 2 from 2 tonight. Brett Loxton around the final corner. He's got a slow James Clark in front of him, but it's not going to matter. He's going to come across the line. This will be victory number 2 for Brett Loxton. He goes 2 from 3 at Oran Park. And then across the line with a 10-second penalty over his head, Brody McConkey. Look at this battle out of the final corner. This is Stevens, Costa Texera, and Gavin Cox all jostling for position at the line. It's cost them quite a lot of time. They are 9 seconds behind in the end from Brody McConkey, and that actually may be the difference from McConkey losing the podium. So Costa Texera, something has happened between those 3 on the final lap that has meant they have slowed down quite a lot. And as a result, McConkey may actually keep his podium. He'll lose second spot to Costa Texera, but he should keep the podium.
Yeah, there's I don't know that he will. It looks...
Yeah, I'm looking at it. He'll just lose it. He'll just drop to 5th.
9.6 drop to 7. Yeah, I think he'll be in 5th.
Just drops to 5th.
Which just tells you how close Costa Texera, Stevens and Cox all were across the line. But take nothing away from Brett Loxton, who's kept it nice and tidy out in front, and he will come home with the win in race 3 as the sun sets over Oran Park. Geez, what a way to finish off this round of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. Just absolutely huge. And you know what, we're gonna go back down because there's no way he's not celebrating this one. Brett Loxton will use up every bit of the tyres that he still had left there. And is that Costa Texera coming across for a bit of celebration as well? Why not?
It might be. I can confirm. Miguel Costa Texera, I believe it is the driver under investigation. That we've seen just a post-race investigation or just come through. Daniel Stevens, Miguel Costa Texera, unnecessary risk. So I believe it's Miguel Costa Texera that's under investigation because usually the second driver is the driver that's listed as being as the driver that is being accused of the incident, but it is listed as unnecessary risk. So we'll keep a very close eye on that one because that could be a second penalty coming the way of Miguel Costa Texera.
It could be. Look, we'll have a chat to the podium as they finished on track in just a moment. This is how it all wrapped up. Only 13 drivers finishing on the lead lap there. Brett Loxton, Brody McConkey and Miguel Costa Texera crossing in provisional podium positions. Daniel Stevens, Gavin Cox and Colin Bruns, the Middle Finger Racing trio in 4th, 5th and 6th ahead of Bray Loveridge from 007 Motorsport. Matthew Day and Matthew Miller just ahead of Jason Merrifield rounding out your top 10. Richard Mayer and Wayne Taylor behind them with Scott Watts, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Matthew Deere, James Clark, 1 lap down. Craig Bell a couple of laps back. Aaron Gilbert and Henry King having a bit of a rough night there in that 3rd. Simon Caplet 16 laps down after that big hit. Phil Manuel out very, very early on in that race. Behind them, Michael Hammond was out early on, as was Ryan Borg. Daniel Stead not actually starting that one. And honestly, if he's sitting at home watching it, I imagine he's probably pretty happy that he didn't come in and jump into that final race, because that was a lot. Let's go and have ourselves a chat, shall we, to the podium sitters for this evening, and we'll start with provisional 3rd place. It is Miguel Costa Texera that joins us now. G'day, Miguel. How are you, mate?
Good. Yourself?
Oh, look, we are exhausted just watching what's gone on tonight. It looked absolutely hectic out there for that 3rd race. Now we say provisional because there's a whole bunch of post-race investigation to be done and penalties to be calculated and that sort of thing. But we thought, look, we'll have a chat to the podium finishers provisionally anyway. Tell us about how your experience went out on track across the night, and especially in that 3rd.
Yeah, look, I want to apologise to Aaron straight off the bat. Like, I've just had a look at it, and it does look like I've just missed at my mark and caused that accident. Like, I know that it probably looks bad given that he shipped me in the last race, and we were sort of having a battle there. And I apologise for shipping him, but there was no malice or intent there. It was just a miss from me. And like, I'm just literally looking at it as we're talking, and he looks like he's just locked the front a little bit too. So it still doesn't matter. That was all on me. I'll take that one. Look, the race standards have been an interesting one in the series. There's been some interesting incidents and definitely some interesting standards. But look, coming away with probably, what was it, a P5 in the first. It probably should have been a win in the second, and then a P2 or 3 in that one. Pretty happy with the results of the weekend or the night.
Yeah, look, it's been a tough one for a lot of drivers tonight, so you can't be too unhappy with the set of results in the end, despite some pretty challenging moments. And look, as much as we joke about it in the commentary box, I think it's an important note that none of the drivers out on track are out there intentionally putting cars into each other. It's just the nature of good hard racing in supercars, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Look, and I was talking to my teammate Brody before, and I know that he got a penalty for a move he made down in one, and he was like, "Oh, it's just supercars, and this track is so hard to overtake. It's sort of similar to Magello, where there's a lack of spots. Turn 1, 2, it's a good opportunity, but it's really hard. You can lock a left front pretty easily, and then even 3, like you're sort of depending on a mistake. So yeah, it's the nature of supercars racing. Like, I think there's a few incidents that definitely maybe should have been left, but there's definitely others that are fine penalised. So it's a hard line, and I don't empathise being with race controls for sure. I'm sure it's not easy, but no, look, it's good fun. I'm really enjoying driving these cars, so looking forward to the season.
Mate, we're enjoying watching it. Thanks so much for dropping in to have a chat to us, and good luck recovering from this one, mate, and looking ahead to the next round. Plenty of good racing still to come.
Yeah, recovery by doing Spa 24 Hour tomorrow night. So keen. Anyway,
insane.
Cheers to Proline and Gripline. Yeah.
Good stuff. Cheers, Miguel. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you. See ya.
Miguel Costexera takes home third step provisionally for that final race. We go now to the provisional second place, and we're just going to end up saying provisional over and over again tonight, I think. But let's have a chat to Brody McConkey, who joins us now. G'day, Brody.
How you going, guys?
Mate, we are probably less exhausted than you right now. How are the arms feeling?
Yeah, they're pretty pumped with the shifter, and I had quite high force feedback, and you don't really get a break around here, and I run it quite high. So, 3 back-to-back races. Yeah, arms are definitely feeling it.
At Oran Park, it's a non-stop track, isn't it? You don't get really much of a rest at all. That front straight disappears in no time, and you're immediately straight back into it.
Yeah, exactly. There's pretty much nowhere for a rest, really. You're either always got some degree of lock on, or you're reaching for the gear stick. So, it's pretty flat out the whole way through, and you don't really get a break, so it's pretty tiring towards the end.
Well, mate, you survived 3 races. It's 250 odd Ks here tonight. 200 Ks. There we go. I can do maths still, even on a Friday night. 200 Ks around Oran Park is not to be sneezed at. Looking back on the 3 races, did you kind of expect the escalation in carnage that we saw over the 3 races? It was certainly predicted by a few people in the YouTube chat this evening. Was it something you went in knowing that might happen?
Track this short, yeah, I think there's quite a big spread of driver levels as well. So when there's a track this short, it's very hard to pass, especially for the reverse grid, and you've got people trying to rush through, and I picked up damage in that one, and lap 3 or 4, and then the car was an absolute dog after that, just trying to hang on, and I ended up dropping back quite far. But race 1 and race 2 I was relatively happy with. Pace was good, and then I think I was happy with the way race 3 was going, and I think I picked up a penalty for an overtake, which frustrated me a bit, so I started probably driving a bit frustrated, and then lost the leader, but well done to the winners tonight, and looking forward to going again in 3 weeks' time.
We can't wait to see more of this action. It's been such a phenomenal start to this series. The racing has been just non-stop. I don't think there's been a single moment where we've really had an opportunity to just sit and kind of recap on things. We've actually found it really difficult to find time to look at replays, because it just keeps going. The rest of the season obviously spread out across the rest of the year. Any particular tracks you're looking forward to?
Pretty much any of the rest, really. I think this was probably my weakest track coming to this one, and we still had pretty strong pace. So we can even build off what we had at Phillip Island. We were really quick there, and then yeah, not a key favourite. Looking forward to Bathurst, obviously, but yeah, just looking forward to the rest of the season. And I think our weak track's out the way, which is nice.
Well, mate, go and rest up. You've definitely earned it tonight. There's a lot still to unpack with race control, but for now, congrats on the drive this evening, and hopefully it all falls your way.
Awesome, thanks, boys.
Brody McConkie there takes out P2 in the final race of this evening. But of course, Isaac, there is a lot on the race control plate right now.
Yeah, and I've just been keeping an eye on the race control plate. It certainly is. They're starting to work through a couple things. Some no further actions coming through for race 1. Now, Michael Hammond and Simon Kapler, an incident with them on lap 9 being called no further action, as well as an incident in race 1 on lap 23 with Matt Meller and Michael Hammond. That was the incident in the final corner that we saw right before the end of the race. That's also been called no further action. So race 1 and race 2, all the incidents for that are complete. There's just those couple of incidents, or 4 incidents from race 3 left to be investigated. I'm sure as the evening goes on, race control will solve all of those, and we'll get to understand exactly how the championship will play out, and we'll get a bigger understanding of exactly what things look like when we get to Winton, in a few weeks' time, when we do the same format, a 60k race, an 80k race with the reverse grid, which is always chaos and good to watch, and then the 60k race to finish things off. And if Oran Park's anything to go by, another narrow, short Australian circuit is certainly going to provide some action.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just looking at the calendar thinking, geez, Winton next is going to be the same level of chaos. That one comes around on the 31st of July, so mark it in your calendars, folks. You do not want to miss that Friday night of racing here with Legacy Australian Racing Championship. There's plenty more action between now and then. Things start to really heat up here on Simple Racing Broadcast from Monday night. If you've enjoyed this racing, have we got something in store for you? The MC Motorsport Trans Am Championship kicks off on Monday night. The new Euro NASCARs. We have a stacked field, 40 cars, I believe we're expecting on Monday night to open that season up. Then Tuesday nights, we're back into the Gen 3 Supercars with Alliance Sim Racing. Wednesday night, the MC GT3 Championship kicks off a new season as well. We are going to be here 3 nights a week from here on in, plus of course the remaining rounds of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship that still lie ahead, which will take us up to 4 nights a week. It's going to be busy. Somewhere in there, I'm going to have to find some time to wind down from all this, Isaac, because if this is the racing we're going to get, and we're going to be doing this 3 or 4 nights a week from here, I don't know if my poor heart can take it, mate.
Yeah, I don't think I can take it either, but we're certainly going to push through, and I think the action that we see from all these series are second to none, and I am very, very excited for what is to come. The Trans Am series, ASR, the GD3s are going to be back as well, as you said, plus this series, the Legacy, well, the LARC is certainly going to provide action, as it always does, and it's classic supercars as well. It's the car of the future, the Holden and the Commodore. It's the supercars that we all grew up with, that we all know and love, and it's great to see it back and as alive as it ever has been.
Absolutely right. Don't go anywhere, folks. There is plenty more action right here on Simple Racing Broadcast. If you haven't already, do us a favour, make sure you do hit that subscribe button down below. I believe if tonight's gone well, we should have clicked over 800 subscribers, which is pretty awesome for a little old channel of ours. Until next time, though, wherever you are around Australia or around the world, we hope you've enjoyed the coverage here this evening of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. My name's Jared Cole. On behalf of Isaac Fogarty, looking forward to seeing you again in the chat next time. It is goodbye for now.